sinya uli di sombranzelten mak et zu ita saluda antes diu hum niga Radzaudzan malak estrezas durante todo memu a nogi distancia como kupugi palu zaniman malak guafi Ikonuna sugi airi prebatu la noci nai banderata gaigi pues atan fanni bandera kau Esta pagua pumalapa Giluk tanu man libri Tentanu ti man ko badi
Checking out all the clubs. See the pretty ladies on the street, yeah. So pretty you fall in love. Island girls everywhere you go. Gotta give shouts out to our local girls. A little island out in the sea. Short drives everywhere, that's fine with me. The local boys are cruising it, we're checking out the scene. Gotta find the women, where can they be? Cause I say, love for an island is what we do. Lovely women, beautiful beaches, just to name a few, Fiestas and barbecues, that's what we like, Love for an island, it makes you feel alright. Cause I say, alright, it makes you feel 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 alright. Cruising down the island now, you're checking out the green. Makes you feel at home, baby, do you know what I mean? It may be hot, it may be small, but remember, old tomorrows will stand tall. Cause I say, love for an island is what we do, Lovely women, beautiful beaches, just to name a few, Fiestas and barbecues, that's what we like, Love for an island, it makes you feel alright. Cause I say, alright, it makes you feel 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 alright. Beautiful beaches, just to name a few, Fiestas and barbecues, that's what we like, Love for an island, it makes you feel alright. Cause I say, alright, it makes you feel alright, it makes you feel alright, it makes you feel alright.
All right, let's go.
Alright.
Good morning, Guam. Good morning, Guam. Good morning, Guam. Good morning, Saipan.
Good morning, California.
Top of the day and good morning to our friends over in Nimitz Hill.
Good morning, Bardstown, Kentucky.
Yeah.
Good
Bluegrass.
morning, Oklahoma.
Yeehaw.
Good morning to Ohio. O-H-I-O. Go dot to dot if you're a Buckeye.
Good morning, Tess from Arizona.
Of course, I got to say good morning to Las Vegas.
Right on.
Top of the day and good morning to everybody on Back Road to Anderson. We see you guys.
Wow. Good morning, Melissa.
Good morning, Agate.
Top of the day and good morning. Now, you know, League One Terrace here in Didido gets all the love, but we want to go across the street. Half a day to Kaiser.
Oh, Kaiser, half a day, Smurftown.
Yeah.
Good morning, Mogfog.
Monkfuck.
Mogfog.
Good morning, Afami.
Good morning to Astumbo Gardens over there in Ukadu. You guys be safe.
You know what? I don't think we've ever said good morning to Anigua. So good morning,
That's
Anigua.
right.
Good morning, Essen.
Buongiorno, Guam, coming from Roberto Fraccassini. Hey, forget about it. Good morning.
Hey, speaking of Europe, Hafa and good morning to all of the Guamanians who are deployed over in Stuttgart, Germany. They got a great tennis tournament over there, and there's a lot of Guamanians protecting our country over there, so thank you guys.
There you go. Stuttgart.
Germany.
Stuttgart in the house. Good morning, Agania Heights.
Good morning, Quarantine Hotel.
Yeah, we're going to be...
And there are a few.
We're going into quarantine this morning, so stay tuned for that. It's the link on the Breeze, 93.9.
One more. Hafa and good morning to everybody down under. Same time zone as us, so Hafa to Australia.
Right, and let's go do half a day to the land down under, Half a day, New Zealand.
Nice.
Good morning to Mooning.
Good morning, Fremont, California.
Good morning, Jigo.
Good morning, Umatic.
Good morning. Okay, here's a double shot for you guys. Good morning to Birmingham, Alabama, and Birmingham, England. Like, see that? Hey, see what I did there? Nice.
Good morning, Teddy, though.
Good morning, everybody.
Sabrina's like, hey, I don't know how much longer I can do this.
One time shot.
Good morning, everybody.
Wait. Can I just show you guys? Okay.
Yeah, please do.
What am I wearing this morning? Cobra Kai shirt.
Oh,
Am I wearing the gear?
I can't.
Oh yeah.
Let's
have
see
I
it.
have I watched the
cannot.
show? Oh no, I haven't even seen
I
it yet.
cannot.
I am what we used to call in the
more.
80s
Yeah.
a poser.
Let's see your katas, dude. Your katas, your forms.
No.
He's like, you what?
Hey, that's Jason Salas, everybody. Good morning, Jay.
Good morning.
All right, little ray of sunshine. Well, he's like the whole sun, actually.
Something like it.
Sabrina Salas Mantonani, good morning.
Hello, everybody.
It's the link on the Breeze, 93.9. Joe Sir is running things behind the scenes on our KUAM News Facebook Live feed. Good morning, everybody. All of you. And also to our team in Master Control, and good morning to our viewers on KUAM TV 11 at 619. The show is proudly brought to you by First Hawaiian Bank, Calvo Enterprises, and IT&E. As always, we got a pretty big show for you guys this morning. We will bid farewell, although I have a feeling we're going to be seeing her around, to Dr. Janet Mcglonia, the newly retired Public Health Medical Director. Yeah, and that was just hit us pretty fast yesterday. And we've also, I put a reach out to a bunch of your senators. We've asked Senator Amanda Shelton, Senator Clint Rogel, Senator Kelly Marsh, Ty Tano, Senator Will Castro, and Senator Jim Moylan to come on around 7:15-ish to talk about the chain of events that was your session last night. What a session. Wow. This was that good, guys. I told you guys to watch. We had a little preview with Senator Therese and Senator Tello yesterday. And man, oh boy.
And I had just walked off the set from doing the news, and in our office I have the TV on really loud, and it was on session, and I heard Senator Terlahi just going off, and I'm like, I think I messaged you, Chris. I was like, what is going on with Senator Terlahi?
Right.
She's upset about something.
Yeah.
So on the way home, I just started replaying session, and found out.
Yeah, it was pretty nuts.
A dear governor response.
I love it though. It was fun. So basically, and we're gonna play the clip. Senator Therese went off on some people, and then it was like she was the last speaker. It was like committee of the whole or something? Yeah, so they had the governor's budget people. Guess who decided to show up? The budget people. The governor Adeloop's budget people. They found their way to the legislature. I guess they thought there was a roadblock or something. They couldn't go to the legislature, so they showed up. But then after Senator Therese went off, the Budget and Finance Chair, Joe St. Augustine, was basically like, sorry about that to our guests. Yeah, don't take it personal, guys. Y'all come back, you hear? Oh, it's nuts. So at 6:21, we'll get right into the news because we do have Dr. Janet Mcglonia coming on. Like I said, we put out the Ask Your Senators. So get a hold of your senators, tell them jump on the link. And we're also going to talk with the GORA director. This one, too. GORA director Ray Tapasnia, who is on the receiving end of a retroactive 4% raise at Gura on the federal funds. So we had a bunch of senators chime in about that. They gave their 2 cents and then some on that 4%. We've also got Lieutenant Governor Josh Tenorio, and then we'll get the Guam Education Board Chair, Vice Chair, Maria Gutierrez and Mark Mendiola. And
three.
so it's pretty jam-packed this morning. We'll get right into it with a look at news from the KUAM News team. Good morning, Sabrina Salas-Mantanani.
Off today, everybody. We begin with the latest out of the Joint Information Center. Out of the 531 samples ran through various island labs, 36 returned positive for COVID-19. We should note Public Health did not run any samples on Monday. Guam's current COVID case count is 1,927 confirmed cases. 627 are active, while more than 1,200 people are in recovery. And there have been 26 deaths. Dr. Janet Mcglonia is no longer the medical director for the Department of Public Health. She retired from the agency effective Saturday. Mcglonia tells KUAM she started her retirement process over a year ago and had planned to retire earlier this year, but then COVID-19 happened. Mcglonia also said she will continue to perform telehealth services for the Veterans Affairs CBOC facility. Public Health Director Art San Augustine confirms he's trying to keep Mcglonia on as a part-time consultant, but those plans and who Mcglonia's permanent replacement will be have not been finalized. In a statement, Governor Lulian Guerrero called Mcglonia a public health warrior whose career has been marked by courage, candor, and unceasing contribution to those she served. Senators rejected the governor's substitute budget bill last night by a vote of 6-8. The governor called the legislature into a special session after she vetoed the spending plan that senators had passed on August 31st. The revenue projection in the legislature's measure was $7 million less than the governor's proposed spending plan. Now, she wanted an additional $5.8 million for Medicaid matching funds and another $1.2 million for Rev and Tax and the Administration Department. Senators argued that their projection was optimistic at best, and ADLOOP could make up any shortfall through the governor's 15% transfer authority. Prior to the vote, Senator Therese Terlahi on the floor responded to a letter sent to her from the governor about her reasons for the veto and her substitute bill, which the governor stated, quote, was done for one purpose only, to save lives. The governor further wrote to Terlahi that as chairwoman of the Committee on Health, you don't need to be reminded of your ethical, fiduciary, and moral responsibility to ensure that critical health functions receive adequate funding amidst a global pandemic. To do so otherwise needlessly jeopardizes the most vulnerable among us, and I know you would never do that. The governor also accused some politicians choosing to grandstand. Here's Senator Therese Terlahi's Dear Governor response.
And I'm going to read this out loud because I'm going to admit this thing is silly to me, you know? $7 million. We're talking about, you're going to accuse me of not following, that I need to be reminded of my ethical, fiduciary, and moral responsibility for healthcare? I want to know if we have a moral, ethical, and fiduciary duty for healthcare. Where in the world is the $10 million? Why didn't that get to GMH before the crisis so they could have fixed their roof? Why didn't public health get the lion's share of the $117 million? Why only now, 1 week ago, did they get confirmed $3 million extra? You know, they're struggling. Why haven't you taken care of them with all of the federal money? They even have pledged to them federal money. Let's help them get it done. I'm not even invited to the Physicians Advisory Group meetings. In fact, I've asked, and they said, no, I'm not allowed to attend. It's private. This pandemic, this emergency has been going on for 6 months now. 6 months. You know? And I don't think this is the time to let everybody fall apart and start accusing each other of what? not taking care of public health? Where were you guys when I was trying to convince my colleagues, why not give public health every dime of additional revenues that we actually do collect? You weren't even bothered to show up. When public health was here telling us, yes, of course we need money, and of course we know they need money. And that's why we tried to do everything we can. I tried to make an amendment to this bill, to the bill we passed, to say anything collected by December is going to go to public health. Well, there was no one here to help me to convince my colleagues to actually give collected revenues and not revenues that no one was comfortable at that time. Just one more minute, Mr. Chair. It's just, we funded, the governor's bill funds directors that were never funded before, funds deputy directors and agencies that are not as critical as public health. I just cannot understand why we're going to resort to what, calling names now? Is that what we're going to do to get this $7 million? I think we have given the governor some very reasonable options. Public health swears there are lapses, so let them get the lapses. It will be more than what you're trying to give them right now because this bill doesn't appropriate any more additional money to public health. We've also allowed you to transfer. You guys were allowed to, you guys found $11 million to pay war claims. You won't tell us from where, but you found it. I have all faith that you can find $5 million. You found money to pay deputy directors that weren't even budgeted. I'm just saying, Mr. Chair, so we've given her options. She can reduce expenditures. She can transfer up to $27 million to public health. We can honor the lapses, the law that says honor the lapses and let public health keep their lapses and spend those lapses on Medicaid and operations. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
Following the governor's substitute budget bill failing, Senator Teresa Lahi requests to schedule a regular session to vote on an override. Senators adjourned session subject to the call of the Speaker, with Senator Kelly Marsh Titano ending with these remarks.
Senator Marsh Titano, I will allow you a very brief extension, please. I asked if everybody wanted to speak. I will allow you that as the Assistant Majority Leader.
You know, as we've gone through these processes over months, 3-4 months, the last 3 weeks, 10 hours a day or so, longer really, because we're doing our office work outside of that. And we've all thought long and hard about each and every one of our agencies' budgets and the whole fiscal landscape and the health of everybody. And at times I felt like I would give my right arm to be able to solve some of our issues, to be able to give more to our agencies. And yet, you know, the fiscal realities are harsh. And it was really difficult in a time where we say that we should be working together. It just didn't happen. We were there alone in our committee work, and then these messages were sent out after the budget bill about $35.6 million with no consideration for the hospital or whether it could be used for public health. There were options there. And then just some of the press releases, the terms that were used. I just, you know, we say that we're working together, we're saying that we should be working together, and yet this body has had to do a lot alone, except for at the last minute, to deal with a bill that it just wasn't something we worked on all together. So I want to be able to look all of our agencies in the eye. If we do get more money, to be able to give them more. But I don't want to have to look any of them in the eye and say that we hoped for more than we could achieve, and the cutting we did earlier is not going to be enough and we have to cut more. So I don't know, it's all very difficult. But I know that for many, if not all of us in this body, that we wanted to work together, and that was our guiding principle, at least in a lot of ways. So with that, Sujos Masi, Madam Speaker, for letting me share some of that. And with that, Madam Speaker, I move to adjourn this session, subject to the call of the Speaker.
The defeat of the governor's bill means that with only 2 weeks left in the fiscal year, the government was without a budget. A Ninth Circuit decision states if the legislature does not pass the bill by deadline, then the previous year budget remains. However, if they pass a budget bill and it was vetoed and they don't override and pass a new one, then the government shuts down. Committee Chair on Appropriations Senator Jocelyn Augustine, meanwhile, is also asking the Speaker to call for an emergency session for this afternoon at 2 o'clock to entertain an override of the governor's veto. As for your senators who voted to pass the governor's substitute budget bill, they were Speaker Tina Munoz Barnes, Senator Clinton Rigel, Senator Amanda Shelton, Senator Pito Terlahi, Senator Regine Bisco-Lee, and lone Republican Senator Mary Torres. Again, the governor's substitute budget bill failed. In national news, with just 50 days until Election Day, President Trump and Democratic nominee Joe Biden are campaigning today. Both candidates are discussing the wildfires out west, but the coronavirus pandemic is also a hot topic. Natalie Brand has more details from the White House.
With wildfires still raging across California, Oregon, and Washington, President Trump is detouring from his western campaign swing for a briefing on the fires in Sacramento today. This morning, the president sent this retweet, which appears to blame the fires on poor forest management. Democratic nominee Joe Biden is expected to say climate change is contributing to extreme weather events when he addresses the wildfires this afternoon from Delaware.
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
The former vice president voted in his home state's primary this morning and was asked if he's confident every vote this November will be counted.
I have confidence that Trump will try to not have that happen, but I'm confident the American public is going to insist on it.
President Trump campaigned just outside of Las Vegas last night. It was his first indoor rally since Tulsa in June, and he held it in defiance of a Nevada ban on large indoor gatherings.
Tell your governor to open up your state, by the way.
The president told the mostly maskless crowd that COVID restrictions in Democratic-led states are political.
On November 4th, they'll announce we're going to open up the states. They're only doing it to affect your November 3rd great election.
Nevada Governor Steve Sisolak responded by tweeting in part, the president's actions this weekend are shameful, dangerous, and irresponsible. The president heads to Arizona for a roundtable with Latino voters later today. The latest CBS News Battleground Tracker poll shows Biden up by 3 points in the state, but the president within the margin of error. Natalie Brand, CBS News, the White House.
In Decision 2020 news here at home, the Guam Election Commission is now taking appointments for in-office absentee voting for the general election. Voters can call 477-9791 to schedule an appointment to begin voting this Saturday, September 19th. The hours for voting are Saturday from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. for Manumco and 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. for appointments. Starting next Monday, it's Manumco hour again from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. and then 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. for appointments. GEC will also have roving in-office absentee voting satellite locations starting on the 26th at Maritzo Elementary. And finally, Dededo construction company Modern Construct will have to pay almost $86,000 to 75 employees for violating the Fair Labor Standards Act.
overtime requirements. The company will also have to pay more than $23,000 in penalties for the willful nature of the violations. The penalties are results of an investigation by the U.S. Department of Labor's Wage and Hour Division, which found that Modern Construct paid employees for the OT hours at straight time rates. The company also failed to keep accurate records of the actual number of hours employees worked. And that is your news for now. Stay here to the link for more.
The 2020 Census of Guam will conclude its GU Self-Storage, conveniently located near the Harmon McDonald's. We offer affordable rates, online payments, and auto bill pay for your convenience. Plus gate access daily from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. Call us today at 648-7867 for more information.
Your life moves quickly, so you need a card that keeps up with you. Tap and go with our contactless debit cards. Just open a checking account at First Hawaiian Bank.
These are some of the signs that someone is thinking about suicide. Talking about wanting to die, excessive guilt or shame, and feeling like a burden to others. Feeling empty, hopeless, trapped, or having no reason to live. Feeling extremely sad, anxious, agitated, or full of rage with unbearable emotional or physical pain. Other signs include changing behavior, such as making a plan or researching ways to die, withdrawing from friends or saying goodbye, giving away important items or making a will, taking dangerous risks such as driving extremely fast, displaying extreme mood swings, eating or sleeping more or less, and using drugs or alcohol more often. If you or someone you know is showing these warning signs, get help as soon as possible. Call Guam Behavioral Health and Wellness Center's crisis hotline at 647-8833 or 4.
You're watching The Link with Chris and Sabrina on TV 11, but don't leave yet because we're coming up next on CBS This Morning.
We got your 6
at 6 a.m. with The Link on Breeze 93.9 FM. Bree and I connect you with all the latest news and information you need to know to start your day.
Then check back with Guam's news leader at 6 p.m. for the day's top headlines with KUAM News Primetime.
From 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. and everything else in between with KUAM Digital, we got your 6.
Thrive, a coalition for a drug-free Dedido, is an active partnership of community members and leaders committed to a vibrant, resilient, and empowered Dedido. It takes a village to raise healthy and drug-free youth. Thrive with us. Find us online or email thrive@westcare.com.
Just the other day, I wrote down all the things I said, but I did.
Good morning. Hey, so many ways to catch the show. It's the link of the breeze 93.9 Facebook Live. Yes, we do that there. KUAM News Facebook page. We got an audio stream, Docomo Channel 10, KUAM.com, the KUAM News app. 6:42. Let's jump into our next segment, which is proudly brought to you by the Thrive Coalition. The Thrive Coalition, it takes a village to raise healthy and drug-free youth. Come on, thrive with us. Good morning, 6:43, and we'll go to the phones for this morning's segment where you have police spokesman Sergeant Paul DePau, who's sipping his coffee this morning.
Good morning, Paul.
Afide, good morning. You're absolutely correct. It's nothing like a good old cup of joe right now.
Right now. How do you like it, Sarge?
Man, there's only one way to enjoy a good cup of joe. It's natural ways. Straight up black.
Straight up.
Straight up. Nothing fancy. I'm not this is a French press. I think that's the only way I can get fancy in the morning is I use a French press and, I just let it sit, let it foam, and it's heaven right now.
Well, speaking of fancy, I see your post, man, on social media with your breakfast. And so what did you make today?
That's my part-time chefing gig. With all this distance learning, I had to really adjust and just in accordance to what life has thrown at us. So, it's really assuring that the kids, their palate, it's really in other areas and trying to replicate that and create something. So today's menu is garlic corned beef fried rice with over sleazy eggs.
Okay, we're located at 600 Harbin Loop Road.
You know where we're at, Sarge. Come on.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's been fun. So I took up another gig. I'm a part-time barber too for my boys. So this quarantine, it's really interesting in how parents have to adapt and overcome the challenges. And I'm pretty sure every parent has to go through that. But nonetheless, I was enjoying that vibe, and thank you for that plug with the Healthy Thrive Coalition. I think that's beautiful how you guys are bringing that forward.
Right, and so let's just talk about that real quick, Sarge. PCOR 1 lockdown. Obviously, we're all limited and restricted in our movements, but if you could just give us a couple ways that a village could help to raise healthy and drug-free youth.
So it's great how the Guam Police Department has been it's partnered with WestCare and part of the Thrive Coalition. So the onset of the pandemic, I was really inundated with a lot of different things. There's a lot of moving parts of the Guam Police Department. So the coalition had actually spun into play during the onset, and I was only able to attend a few meetings, via email and of course to Google Meet and Zoom. So where we are now, it's really identifying and going into this partnership, we've identified that the village in which we're going to be focusing the effort. And again, I'm not the spokesperson for the coalition. I'm just speaking on behalf of the partnership and some of the contributions that the Guam Police Department brings forth into this partnership and this collaboration. So it's focusing on the village of Dedido and the three aspects of a healthy youth. It's going to focus on your gateway drugs, which have been identified as alcohol, tobacco, and we're focusing on marijuana. There's a whole aspect in everything, but when you break down the three core factors and you utilize your tools that you have in data collection, such as the schools, Department of Education has a great tracker in infractions of alcohol or primarily tobacco use amongst elementary and middle school. So, trying to target that area and, where Dedido was, where the population of Dedido, and you look at the amount of schools that they have up there, I believe they have like 3 middle schools, they have a whole slew of elementary schools, and I think 2 or 1 high school. So, you'll find that the infractions of students that commit these type of incidents are associated and related to drugs or alcohol or tobacco, and it's pretty high, predominantly within the middle school. So, that was one of our discussions we had in our last Google Meet about how we can utilize and partner, draw the data from DOE. But, Dededo is a big village, and Mayor Savares has been really instrumental in providing the resources of how we can actually utilize and deploy the concept of a drug-free Dededo. So we're really excited for this, and they ventured into the partnership with KUAM, I think, last week. They're partnering with, in spreading the message of where we are going with the efforts with the Thrive Coalition for Drug-Free Dededo.
Well, thanks, Sergeant. Yeah, we just wanted to get you on real quick and just talk about that and give us some ideas about how we can do our part, even under this stay-home order.
It's really ironic that we're talking about this and how one of the things that we talked about and when we did our power meetings is the accessibility of these items. Although tobacco and alcohol products is legal with the age of 21, the accessibility that these kids have and everything, it's really utilized, and the way they gain access to this is to the family. And you look at different breakup groups that we had. One group was focusing on tobacco, the other group was focusing on alcohol, and the other group was focusing on drugs. And it's really the parental figure within the household that has that has the means of these kids and accessing that. And as a parent, as a responsible parent, should you indulge in these these adult beverages or these tobacco products, you really have to be cognizant of who's around you and how it affects them. And one of the things that we talk about within our youth develop or our youth outreach programs when we do our outreach with the families is really talking to the kids about the consequences and why they are not allowed to do it or they're not permitted to do it at a certain age. We go into the physiological aspect, the biological features of what it does to the body and how it affects them as an educational approach with our outreach. But we try to focus on the parents. And when we looked at the work that we did in our last meeting, we saw a high frequency or a high use of identifier that parental involvement is really, if you look at it from a negative aspect of the spectrum, they're getting it from the parents because it's easily accessible. Now, how do you eliminate that? It's really the parents' role, the parental role in educating your kids, and of course, educating yourself as a parent. We got to break away from that norm where we tell our kids, at a barbecue, hey, go into the cooler and get 3 beers, one for me and 2 for your uncles. So these are the things in which we are accustomed to, and we need to break that habit. And I had to show you in the extreme spectrum. I had a kid who we brought in, and he was going to be confined, and we asked him at the Department of Youth first before we went in. I asked him, if you don't mind me asking, how can we help you, and how did you get into this? Because man, when my dad tells me to go into a room to get his fix or his rig, once he said the word rig, I was like, man, these are some of the things our kids are exposed to, and it's just that cycle of whether we say it's a cycle of addiction, whether it's the normal culture that we see in the household, and we gotta identify that, and we gotta break that. We gotta target how we can actually break that cycle with drug use within the family, and of course, and we're seeing it. We reported where a slew of family members were have been arrested for possession. So that's the extreme spectrum of where we see it graduating from gateway drugs, from alcohol, tobacco to marijuana, and of course to the heavier drugs, such as crystal methamphetamine.
Right. Well, thanks, Paul. You're right. It does start at home. So we really appreciate you striving and thriving and being a part of this coalition and everything the Guam Police Department does to keep our kids healthy and drug-free.
Right, and I just think it's alarming, the evolution of when I was a kid, it was, hey, go get uncle a beer and auntie a beer, and now it's evolved into go get Dad's stash box and his rig. It's just insane.
Yeah, go get the rig, and it's and that's the thing that which we we see as frontliners with the Guam Police Department, but for the community aspect to hear this, it's really when we report that as the PIO, it's really it just breaks my heart when I see kids graduate to that, and it's something in which our work is it's really motivating me as the Guam Police Department with this partnership and this collaboration, and again it's there's a lot of great work that's ahead of us. So again, I'm not the spokesperson for the Thrive, but this is something in which we are happy to be a part of.
Thank you, Sergeant. Again, this segment brought to you by the Thrive Coalition, where it takes a village to raise healthy and drug-free youth. Come on and thrive with us. So, Sergeant Paul Tapao, the Guam Police Department, thank you so much, Sarge 653.
Here we go, Doc.
And I think, yes, well, let's just jump into our KUAM News Zoom room where we have standing by it's official, right? The newly retired medical director from Public Health. Good morning, Dr. Janet Mcglonia.
Good morning.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. We can see you, too.
Good morning, sunshine.
Hey, I got to tell you, no tape today, but I have on lipstick. No mask on right now. I'm in my car.
Right.
I haven't had lipstick on in 7 months, but I thought, I got to dress up for Sabrina and Chris and Jason.
Right. Thank you, Doc. Wow, so just a crazy turn of events, at least on our part, and talking to you yesterday, it's apparent that a lot of this was going on behind the scenes. And just bring us up to speed. People were talking about your abrupt retirement, but it turns out it wasn't really that abrupt, right?
No, it wasn't abrupt at all. And there's nothing going on at Public Health. I can squash that too. In fact, if you had asked most of the people last week if anyone were about to retire, they wouldn't have known, because I literally hadn't shared it with people for one reason. It wasn't any other thing than I couldn't quit crying. And I'm going to do it again. I just did it on Patty's show, but we have such an incredible team at Public Health, and I always had an incredible little unit behind the scenes. People don't realize I've been there 10 years, and we have this wonderful little unit that treats TB and leprosy on island, and it was centered out of a Manila office. We had contact tracers, we had contact investigators. No one knew we existed at all. I was behind a locked door, and the other part of my team was across the hall. And we knew we had a secret engine going on in Guam, and we loved it. We loved our mission. We knew that people didn't know we were there, but we have been trying to prevent infection coming into our islands for decades. And from the level of immigration, they have to go through our department to even join people on island. People don't know that. But I am so glad that my team and the goodness and the smarts that they bring to the team, to the total cause for COVID, has become so front and center. We're not front and center people. We were the hidden treasure in Guam, and then all of a sudden people were like, "Oh no, we need contact tracers," and we're like, "No, we got them." And we need contact investigators. Nope, we got them. We got this, and we just need more of us, and we got that. But yeah, we've been hidden away, and now the very valuable thing we do for public health is now front and center, and because now it's needed more than ever for the entire island, not just a group of leprosy or TB patients. Right. So now we've been around a while. We're old timers, but my team is just. I had a small team that I couldn't imagine leaving, and now with COVID, the entire island has joined hands as medical providers and as warriors in this march against COVID. So now all of us, this little team I couldn't dream of leaving, now includes hundreds of people that I didn't normally work with. Even you. I mean, one of my thoughts this weekend is like, oh, I've got to talk to Chris and Sabrina and Patty. I've got to let everyone know. But you weren't in my thought a year ago when I started this. I had two people that I was looking at, and in this culture, so much value is placed on family. Linda DeNorsey left. Who was it for? For her father-in-law. he's elderly and she's almost retired several times and then didn't. But this time, you know, we see these people slipping away. And so when I started this, my father, who was 101, was still alive and doing well, relatively well. It started to dwindle. And my husband is still good, has some medical issues that I help him with. And of course, his providers, but he didn't make it. And when I was starting all this, dengue hit, and then I went to some conferences. Then my father actually did pass away. And then we had the building fire. And then as soon as we got settled in January after the building fire, we thought we could take a breath, COVID hit. So there's never been a really good time for me to go ahead and finish the mission. And so, no, this has been in process for a while, and I've been around for a long time. But the community just now saw our group and our team out and about because of COVID. So, are you there?
We're just letting you talk, Doc. Yeah. We're here.
So it's funny. I didn't get to share this on Patty's show, but on the mainland, you won't find a lot of people. Let's just take a big glaring example. Donald Trump's brother just died. It wouldn't be, he didn't stop his presidency. You don't expect him to. But in the islands, I've often seen people step down from what they're doing to take care of loved ones. And that was a bit of a shock to me when I first moved to Saipan, and that people would actually do that, and they didn't believe in nursing homes and that sort of thing. Right. And it's a glorious thing, and I love that about the culture. But Linda stepped down to help with family. Josie stepped down to help with family. I'm not stepping down to help with family. I'm retiring. I'm not resigning. I'm retiring. And I'm looking forward to having more time with my husband. I will still be working in some capacity with public health, hopefully in a part-time role. I'll be working with veterans. My husband and I are dedicated to the veterans. He's a retired command sergeant major, and I had 8 years of training with the VA, 10 years, a decade of service with the VA. And so I'll now continue my services through the CBOC for the veterans. And I'm proud to say that. And my husband's so excited that we can join forces on this because he still helps the veterans. Right. He used to be the administrator for Veterans Affairs in 2015 and 16. So it's a new chapter. There's no backstory. It wasn't abrupt. It was delayed because I can't quit crying when I think of not having those people in my life every day. So, and I would have, my tears last year were just for the team that surrounded me, that I lived and breathed. But now the team is huge because of COVID. And now my tears are more plenty. So we have the best team ever. I wouldn't change a thing. I wouldn't change a decision we've made. And I'm sorry, I'm just sort of veering off here because these are things I want to share. Patty asked that. She said, would you change anything? You know, we look at different areas and what they're doing. I wouldn't change a thing. Every area is doing what's best for their area. And we're all following the lead of COVID. And so our response will be different than California. And actually our outcome will be different because, as you can see, our community is rallying and our numbers are now not in triple digits. And that's not us, that's the community. I mean, we did it before and they're doing it again, and we knew they could do it. And look at our numbers. They can't do this in California, and maybe not even Hawaii, but look at Guam. We're Guam, we can do this. So it's our response is, and every decision we've made, I wouldn't change one decision because we are led by the march of COVID. When we see it taking a move, we go after it in that direction. We keep trying to get ahead of it and put out the fires it's causing in the way. So, yeah, our response is going to be different than other areas. And I don't fault any other area because we at Public Health and the government on down, we all know that they're reacting to what they're seeing in their individual areas. So we don't fault them at all. And sometimes we adopt some of the things they're doing and thinking they might work here. So, and some things we don't take because we already know it won't work here. But our numbers are looking better thanks to the community. The policies and protocols have not changed. but this is we are all on the front line, and our front line is working.
You know, Dr. Mcglonia, you talked about the team that you had. You know, I know Chris and I, you know, early on, it's been 6 months now. We talked about, who are the shining stars, right, in this fight against COVID? And you definitely have been one of those. Well, you've definitely been one of those shining stars, at least for me, and Chris.
Well, thank you.
And so, tell me about how hard it was for you to break the news to, you know, the group over there at Public Health.
Very difficult. I'm going to get you for this. Very difficult. Because we all are working so hard. We have the most dedicated team. And I'm not the shining star. I'm the vocal one. I'm the mouthpiece. But I'm telling you what they're doing. And I'm telling you what the governor is doing. I speak for a lot of people and a lot of their efforts. I can't even, you all have no idea the work that goes on. You know, you get home at 10 o'clock at night, and then you'll have a Zoom meeting from 10 till midnight, and then back up at 5 because something new has happened. It would be so much easier if I were leaving a dysfunctional troop. I'm leaving some star warriors from all over. I mean, down to the person who I say down to, you don't see the guy that's in his vehicle transporting specimens back and forth to lab just to make these swab and these mass screenings work. If we didn't have him going back and forth, we're paralyzed. It's everybody, all hands on deck, and all the hands are golden. And the hands on the front line in the community, they're golden. Everybody is fighting this. So, yes, I'm vocal, but I'm just telling you what they're doing. And every message I deliver is based on data. It's not an op-ed. It's not my opinion. These are facts. These are what we're seeing in the community. And we knew the community could rally again, and they have. Mm-hmm. So we're Guam. We can do this. And we've got to shut it down and get a different strategy on how to move forward. It's going to be this delicate dance of the ship on the wave, you know, how to go with the wave. COVID is ahead of us until we get the long game going with the vaccine. It's going to be around a while. I can't see it just stopping magically, but I think as medical teams come together and get safe vaccines delivered to all areas, that will help. Our team will keep doing what they do, and my chores will fall to different people. As far as the medical directorship, all the lines are blurred. My job a year ago was very well defined. Now, who's medical director? Who's what? Everybody. It's all hands on deck. The titles might change because for months we've been talking about gathering troops to make a bureau for emerging infectious disease, because now we've had swine flu, SARS, Ebola, COVID. You know, now it looks like this might be our new normal, not COVID necessarily, but diseases that may impact our area. So maybe we need an entire division for that, or entire bureau for that. And so we were looking at this. And so there may not be that particular role anymore because COVID has changed the landscape. And the PAG group, we never had a PAG group before, with the Physicians Advisory Group, where we had this marriage between private collaborators and public health and the military. We didn't have that, obviously. We would pick up the phone, call them, pick up the phone, call them. Now through Zoom, it's one big family now, and everyone's on the same mission. So everything's changing, and we're seeing needs that we didn't see before. You know, when you first have SARS, okay, we made it over the hump. MERS, we made it over the hump. Swine flu, made it over the hump. Now we're realizing the new norm is that we're going to start having more humps. And so now we need to have a team, a SWAT team, not a SWAT team, a SWAT fleet an entire platoon, because what the new normal isn't COVID. The new normal is that we're going to have these infectious diseases emerging, and we need to stand ready, and our pandemic response will be there all the time, ready to roll.
Doc, where do you? I mean, I know you just heaped a lot of high praise onto the team that will stay back and continue the fight on COVID.
They're amazing.
And
they're amazing.
But I just wonder where we are now. I know we've got some great people, but you know the resources have always been a question. We just saw last night that Public Health Lab didn't run any samples. We saw the backlog that we had talked about. So that being said, do you think that the team that will continue the fight has all the tools that they need to win this war?
Yes. Now, it may be that you don't have the tool in your closet right now, but we identify it and we get it. So we can get what we need. We have a lot of support with the military, with the federal collaborators. So I don't see any problem moving forward with the current status. No, I don't see any problem with that. It hasn't been a problem, and we've had to mobilize a lot of different resources that we didn't probably foresee in February, but we keep moving in this direction if we see we need to, or this direction. It's constant surveillance, looking ahead to see where it's going and what we need to do to shore up for that.
You know, Doc, you said you're vocal. You have been vocal, that especially on this show, and you know you've taken some hits here, and not just here on the show, but in the community, right? And so when you told your staff and your coworkers that you were retiring, what kind of, I guess, advice did you give them in terms of staying the course and, you know, kill the noise of what people are, you know, the criticisms that public health has been receiving? Did you give them any sort of a pep talk or a message to them? Because sometimes it can be, you know.
Everybody's moving forward with their duties. There are so many leaders behind the scenes, and like Nettie, you've seen Annette Uggan. She's got her team doing their thing. Everyone knows that we just march on, and we're looking at my coming back in a part-time role. So Art and I were just talking about that last night, and what capacity and what things we could do, because there's paperwork that goes with that. Right. So we were just putting that on the table, because I want to continue helping public health. No, I'm terrible. I couldn't even look at them and tell them. I was talking to some of them yesterday. Every time I would try to tell them, to share with them, it was just too hard. These guys are great, you know, and you don't have to tell public health people to march on. That's what they do. That's what they do. They're so special. I wish the public could really, or the community could really see what goes on behind the scenes, because you would derive comfort. You've got like moms and dads out there fighting for you and risking their lives every day just to keep their families safe and keep your family safe. They're an amazing bunch, but it's not just public health now. Like I said, we have joined forces with everyone, all the private providers, the military, the governor. I mean, I was never in Zoom calls with the governor before. No one knew I existed for 10 years. And we were just quietly doing our little job back in our little locked ward and saving lives that no one knew what we were doing. We were preventing infection coming into Guam for decades. And people, when they come in from through immigration, they come through us, because we've tried to keep that front up for decades, and we're sort of a hidden story. People don't know we exist, but that machine's been in place for decades, probably 35 years, you know, keeping TB and other communicable diseases away from our communities. So the difficulty, geez, if they were mean, nasty people, it would be so easy to do this. But I've delayed. I started it, you know, before dengue, and and tried to do it in time that I could be with my dad. But he 101 and a half when he passed. My timing was a little bit off, but and then the COVID and the building fire. It's just been one little thing after another that our departments had to deal with. But this is an island-wide response to this, and most amazing bunch. Linda left and Art slid right in. And Art is incredible. I've worked with him for years, and he's an incredible leader and an inspiration. So Linda left big shoes to fill, and Art more than filled them. And the team just has rallied behind him, and we didn't miss a beat. The beats changed even, and we keep changing our response and the way we function based on what COVID is doing. And when we had the second wave, you can bet we mobilized more forces, and things changed again. And it's okay. That's what we do. That's what we do with infectious diseases, and that's why we're there. So yes, my little hidden team became front and center, because when they found out they needed contact investigators, we got them. We need contact tracers. We've got them. We've been doing this for a while.
Doc, it's not just your team that's going to miss you, right? You've got an entire community out here who have been watching and listening to you for the past several months. Is there any particular message, I guess, you would have for our viewers and listeners?
Right.
Oh, sure. I'm not going anywhere. I'll still be here. I've still got you on speed dial. Are you kidding me? If you think Guam can shut me up, good luck. My husband would like to know how that's going to happen.
Send him the blueprint, right?
Well, Doc, I just wanted to share something, because you said when you moved out to this part of the world, in your work in Saipan and here on Guam, you greatly appreciated the culture and our sense of family. And,
yes.
And of course, one thing that all Guamanians and people across the Marianas really respect is hard work and also showing gratitude. So I was gonna say, when you get home, because you certainly don't want to do this in your car, you might want to have a good supply of tissues and read some of the comments, because people are expressing their gratitude for what you've been able to do for our community. Very nice. And I was going to say, encapsulated probably best by Chris Cave, who's one of our viewers right now. And he says, Dr. Mcglonia, girl, let your hair down, wear your lipstick. We're going to miss you.
Wear your lipstick.
Wear your lipstick.
Wear it.
And that's one of hundreds.
Right.
I'm not going anywhere. I'm shifting my efforts. I'll have more time. I will have more time with my husband, which is a big deal. He's my hero. So, and we'll get to join forces helping the veterans in the community through work at the CBOC, and he still helps veterans on his own. Where our dedication to the veterans is still there despite COVID. And then hopefully I can have a part-time role with public health and still help in some capacity there. Right now it will be with COVID. And my role is changing, and my hours will be a little better, and I'll be able to focus on my priorities at home and still help with COVID and still help with veterans and still help with TB and leprosy. My hours will be a little shifted, which will be better for my family. And I'm not a spring chicken. I know the viewers think I'm 20, but I'm not. I'm a little more than that. I'm 20 and tax. And yes, this is my natural color.
Right.
My roots friend.
Mine too. Doc, I mean, just to kind of shift gears a little bit, we had Dr. Jolene Uggan on yesterday, and
oh yeah, I love her.
She kind of did, and I was telling Bree, it's like she kind of did the Dr. Mcglonia interview, but from the GMH side, where it was just serious, it was stern, and I know we're kind of in a place where we're looking back at your service and we're laughing about, the relationship you've had with the team, but I really feel like Dr. Uggan's comments in terms of what she was saying with this virus and how it's more virulent in this second wave, how we've just got so many people who are really sick. I still feel like it's very, very serious. So that being said, I mean, you know, how serious is it?
Oh my goodness, Jolene, I'm thankful to the governor that she allowed this PAG group to form. PAG is the Physicians Advisory Group. What is that group? It's just a few people from the community, a sampling of people and public health, and the military keeps us informed too. They're not actually on the well, we've got the Guard, but as far as like Naval Hospital, VA, they're not on the table, but they're constantly giving us their feedback, and we have this collaboration that is incredible for the island. Dr. Uggan is on that panel. Yes, that wipes the smile off my face. When people are saying we should reopen and people are judging the decisions made by the governor, we often say when we're off the mic is let them take one walk through Dr. Uggan's world. I can't even imagine seeing 50 people ill enough to be in the hospital and 20% on life support for any illness. That she's down. It's one thing to be doing radio shows in the States when you've got the Vietnam War going on. If you're in the middle of combat, the story changes. She's in combat zone. And that'll wipe the smile off your face. It'll break your heart to see what the team is doing and the sick people. And it's not the flu. It is not the flu. When's the last time we had 50 people with the flu in the hospital and 10 of them on the ventilator hanging by a thread, or 12, however many it is? Mm-hmm. But no, she's in the combat zone. Her message will be totally different because the decisions that they make are to try to save lives, and when the disease overwhelms the patient and the medicines don't work, we're there to help and to save lives. And when you lose one, I can't tell you how personally you take it. Even though we're fighting this formidable enemy, you still don't want to lose anybody, and you don't want to see 50 people lying there sick, and that's 50 people the families can't visit. This culture is so driven on family, and it's I can't imagine the pain that the staff feels on a day-to-day basis, because that's in the belly of the beast. Whole different messaging there, and it's serious business there, and it's heart-wrenching there. I didn't get to hear her interview, and I wanted to, but I'm going to go back and listen to it because we see a few minutes of what she has to say during the PAG group when she's zooming in, but I really want to hear what she has to say on your show, because she had more time to just give you a heartfelt response to that. Usually she's in such a dead run that you can only capture her for a few minutes here and there. So I can't wait to sit and listen to that. I'm glad you reminded me. So
I'll send you the link. I'll send you the link from the link.
I sort of say, can you send me the link to that? Because Dr. Uggan and her team at GMH, they are incredible, and they're on the front line. They're taking their hits. They lost a nurse a couple weeks ago. That's where it's really real, and I people can't go in and see it, but I think it would impact your thoughts about the illness more if you could see it.
Well, thank you so much.
I don't regret any of the decisions. And we're following the lead of the COVID, and we're trying to stay a step ahead, plus trying to address the mess, clean up its mess, and try to stay ahead of it until we can get a vaccine. And that everything we do is to do that. So whatever decision you see that the governor makes, it's based on our feeding her our thoughts as the PAG group, her seeing what her leaders are telling her, and the surgeon cell, and what Dr. Uggan is saying. Everyone, she has to sit there with all the pieces from everyone and try to make decisions that work for the community and our health and safety first. And oh my goodness, it's a difficult, she has to make the big decisions. But I really feel like if everyone in the community could be there and see what all she is having to sort out, and what all we're having to sort out, I don't think anybody would walk away and make a different decision at all. It's it can't be done, I know, but sometimes the bottom line looks bad, but you should see the pieces that went into that. There's a lot going into it, and everyone is just trying to protect the safety and health of the community and our families, and make it a safe place again for the tourists to come. And so I don't know, I could go on and on. My heart breaks when I think about what she's looking at day to day, and when the exposure they're putting their families through, and seeing the exposure to the community. So yeah, she's incredible. Her team is incredible.
Thank you, Doc. And you know, like you said, you're still going to be around, so anytime you want to jump on.
Yes. Oh, you're not going to shut me up. If you thought this was goodbye, you're crazy.
Well, you got the link.
And again, thank you for the platform that you've given public health. You never knew of Annette Uggan. You didn't know of Chima. You didn't know of me. We didn't. Look at this. I mean, our whole world in Guam has changed, and everyone is in this battle together. Today it's COVID. What is it tomorrow? I don't know. But public health is trying to look ahead and try to change some of the roles and make new roles, like the Bureau of Emerging Infectious Disease was something we tossed out, because this is our new normal. I think is that we're going to have these infections coming our way periodically, and we need to shore up and be ready for the next hit, and have our game face on. And it may look just like this because we've done it with COVID. We've done it, but where everyone is mobilized to work with COVID, and we're a unified team, we may be looking at having an entire bureau that does nothing but this. That's their job. So, and that would be a good thing. And I think Taiwan did something like that, or had at least protocols in place to mobilize people to do this type of damage control for viruses.
Right.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Mcglonia, for your time, and we wish you the very best. And I know we'll be talking to you soon.
Well, I'll still be helping with COVID, still be helping with TB and leprosy, and helping the veterans through work at the CBOC, and compensation and pension exams. And my husband has always been dedicated to veterans, and so we're going to join forces now.
All
nice. Right. Yeah, keep us posted, because we know that there's definitely a huge need for the services for the vets. So anything we can do to help to get the word out about anything at all, any outreach or anything with the VA, let us know.
Thank you. And thank you for giving us a voice to get it out to the community, because everyone listens to you all. And so when you put us on there and we get to share, it's all good. It's good for you, good for us, good for them. It's we need you all so much, and thank you. Yes, we've been the hidden SWAT team for years, but now we're at front and center.
All right. Thanks, Doc.
Thank you, Doc.
Talk to you
Thank
soon.
You all.
Exit stage left.
Okay. Okay, thanks.
Okay, see you.
Okay, bye.
Bye. Wash your hands. There's Dr. Janet Mcglonia, the newly retired medical director for public health, but it kind of sounds like she's going to be coming back maybe in a part-time capacity. So 726.
Hopefully they can find some money in the budget or something.
Right. 726. Hey, we'll take a short break, and we're coming back with a few of your senators from the Guam legislature. We'll kind of talk a little bit about the budget, and I have a feeling some other things might pop up here. On the link, it's The Breeze, 93.9. Good morning.
The 20 GU Self-Storage, conveniently located near the Harmon McDonald's. We offer affordable rates, online payments, and auto bill pay for your convenience. Plus, gate access daily from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. Call us today at 648-7867 for more information.
Your life moves quickly, so you need a card that keeps up with you. Tap and go with our contactless debit cards. Just open a checking account at First Hawaiian Bank.
Thrive, a coalition for a drug-free Dededo, is an active partnership of community members and leaders committed to a vibrant, resilient, and empowered Dededo. It takes a village to raise healthy and drug-free youth. Thrive with us. Find us online or email thrive@westcare.com.
These are some of the signs that someone is thinking about suicide. Talking about wanting to die, excessive guilt or shame, and feeling like a burden to others. Feeling empty, hopeless, trapped, or having no reason to live. Feeling extremely sad, anxious, agitated, or full of rage with unbearable emotional or physical pain. Other signs include changing behavior, such as making a plan or researching ways to die, withdrawing from friends or saying goodbye, giving away important items or making a will, taking dangerous risks such as driving extremely fast, displaying extreme mood swings, eating or sleeping more or less, and using drugs or alcohol more often. If you or someone you know is showing these warning signs, get help as soon as possible. Call Guam Behavioral Health and Wellness Center's crisis hotline at 647-8833 or 4.
Hafa Day, my name is Zina Cruz Vecina, a registered nurse with the Department of Public Health and Social Services. COVID-19 continues to be a very real threat to Guam. Wearing an appropriate cloth face covering in public is a simple and important way you can protect yourself and others on our island. During a pandemic, no single action will stop the spread of the virus. Wash your hands often with soap and water, and stay 6 feet away from others. Prevention saves lives. For more information, please call 311 or check out our website at www.dphss.guam.gov.
You're watching The Link with Chris and Sabrina on TV 11. Stick around because we're next on CBS This Morning.
We got your 6.
At 6 a.m. with The Link on Breeze 93.9 FM. Bree and I connect you with all the latest news and information you need to know to start your day.
Then check back with Guam's news leader at 6 p.m. for the day's top headlines with KUAM News Primetime.
From 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. and everything else in between with KUAM Digital, we got your 6.
Change it for the world. 'Cause I love Guam.
Good morning. 7:30. Coming up, we have the executive director of the Guam Housing and Urban Renewal Authority, Ray Bosnia. They're getting a raise. Now they're not getting a raise. And let me guess, it's got nothing at all to do with the backlash. Nah, come on. What? Don't talk with Ray. One thing I like about Ray, the guy will come on and he will answer the questions. You know what I mean? Didn't even think twice. I was like, hey, can you jump on and talk about the raises? And, you know, I mean, a lot of times that I send a message like that, it's just crickets left on red. But Ray was like, sure, what time? So I never wanted to shy away from that. And let's go to the KUM newsroom room where you have a couple of Republican senators. Remember I told you guys I put out the ask to Senator Amanda Shelton, straight to voicemail. Senator Clint Rigel, who I think is getting ready. Senator Kelly said she might jump on this. But those who did answer the call from the link, thank you guys. Senator Jim Moylan and Senator Will Castro, both from the Republican minority. And I guess we'll just start with you, Senator Moylan, because I know you wrote the letter to the governor saying 4% raise retroactive to January. Oh, no, you didn't.
Yeah, that's that we sent that letter out the other day there, Chris and Bree, and after reading the article published that they received that 4% raise, increasing the director's salary from $153,000 to $159,000, and for the deputy, increasing that salary from $106,000 to $111,000 for that 4% for a job that the board felt was well done, by receiving an overall satisfactory rating during the audit report. So that, of course, that's a good thing. I'm glad they did their job, and nobody stole any money, and that's the important part of it. And the federal money went where it's supposed to. So granted, they did their work, and the board was appreciative, and they have it in their SOP that they can receive the raise, and so they authorized it. And it is federal money, and so much so that just the week prior to this raise, the governor did speak to Congress, U.S. Congress, and ask for more federal money. And then what do we do when we come back after, hopefully getting that approval from Congress? Is we give our appointees, our government appointees, a raise with that federal money. So it's just is now the right time, and plus to make it retroactive when we have thousands of businesses that are closed because of this pandemic, and over 35,000 people either have their hours reduced, their checks reduced, or have lost their jobs. And I'm sure that these appointments, the director and deputy director can survive in the meantime, and we can come back to that raise.
Oh, no, Senator. I mean, $153,000 a year. God, it's kind of hard to survive on. Oh,
right.
I feel for you.
Yeah. Not to say they're not deserving, and that's up to the board, and that's why they're in that position. But I just asked the governor to immediately rescind that, because what message are we putting out to the people of Guam? Us versus them again, it seems like. Where's the importance of where federal funding is actually needed? We're recently giving a $400 supplement now to supplement what the CARES Act has depleted, that $600. So I'm glad we're doing that. And that's where we should be focusing on it. It's for the people, and we can always come back to our directors and give them ribbons and say what a fine job you're doing, but not now. And if the governor wasn't willing to rescind it, I was set to introduce legislation to do something about it. But as I read in today's paper, I guess
they did a cha-cha. Yeah, it was 4% forward, a 4% back. Let's bring on Senator Will Castro. Senator Will, this kind of just looks like they got their hand caught in the raised cookie jar, and now it's like, oh no, what? You guys are mad about that? We never had any intention of getting that raise. Is that what you think happened?
I agree. No, I think it was Senator Jimmy hit it on the head. It's maybe good intent, bad timing. Right. But let's take that conversation, Senator Moylan, down the line. I'm not sure, but I would suspect that if you put in the time and grade in the position at that level, that ultimately when you're going to retire, that you're going to factor that in. So downrange, you're going to be able to see the long-term financial implications upon the local coffers. No federal source is going to pick up your retirement tab. That's not a dig on the executive director, the general manager, Mr. Tapashnia, but if in fact, let's just play this out. Maybe if in fact it was a ploy to put it out there that I'm worthy, but let's go ahead and forego the actual pay. It's just bad timing. You could probably pay 4 or 5 people on that wage in other industries, right? And so I know the CNMI did something very similar. If you recall, this is about a month ago. The Marianas Visitors Authority had authorized the raise for their new GM. And if you look at their timing, she was just hired in the last 60 or 90 days. That was probably part of the package. But immediately she said, we're not, it'd be unconscionable to accept this. And so they suspended the raise, but they did it in a timely fashion. This one allowed itself to play out. And I couldn't agree with you more, Chris, when you're talking at any salary over 6 digits relatively speaking, right? Because if you look around you left to right, even in the size of the agency, many directors don't get paid that. I know because I was there, and many directors deserve that kind of compensation, but unfortunately they weren't tied to a federal funding source. So I've been in discussions over years where people would say, well, you can't touch us federally funded employees. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. Because even the federal government recognizes that if there's fiscal fragility in the government, they understand that you can't have a local government and a federally funded program if the local component's not there. That's just common sense. And I talk about that in the context of DOE. Federally funded employees at one time were exempt from certain adjustments made to compensation, and we appealed back to US DOE. And if I'm not mistaken, that was over 10 years ago. They said, no, it's well within your jurisdiction, but you just got to answer the question, how does it affect the delivery of federal services? But the long and short of it is, good intent in terms of acknowledging your merit, terrible timing and execution. I wouldn't have done it.
Let's
Right.
talk.
I just got to say, I just can't even, it baffles me why we're even talking about this when you have people risking their lives on the daily that can't even get double pay, that can't even get overtime pay. And here we are voting to approve frickin' raises. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Anyway, that's just...
Let's move on to the budget.
Yeah. That
wow,
just pisses
what a
me off.
session last night. That was pretty classic. You guys shut down the governor's substitute budget bill. Close, though. It was close.
8-6,
Yes.
excused absence before the vice speaker.
I'm surprised it was... I'm surprised, not surprised, though, really.
Yeah, it was 8-6. They called us into committee as a whole to hear something that we heard before throughout those 2 weeks we were discussing the budget, and it passed without $7 million that Adelup really wanted. 13 voted yes to pass that budget, and then 10 days later, 2 weeks later, we're back in session to ask for that same $7 million again. And what's the difference between then and now? And they Adelup made it appear like it's only 0.01%. It's so small, but we should just we should get this, right? And no, it's not, because when we were arguing or just debating about that budget to get it passed, every 100,000 here, 50,000 here, 20,000, it was 7 million was a big number to us when we were discussing and passing that budget at a majority vote of 13 that passed it. But yet they finally came back to the table because Adelup refused to continue discussion with us when we were discussing that bill. So they walked away and didn't want to play with us anymore. So now, after the veto, they come back to us and say, no, get back to the table because you can do better. And no, we're not going to do better by increasing that amount because we don't feel comfortable in doing so. And we're trusting our Office of Finance and Budget decision, and they put a lot of work into that to have those numbers as conservative. But out of that 7 million, the interesting part is, why 7 million? You're going to call in the legislature on a special session for 7 million that you consider is such a small amount. Well, of that 7 million, there was 750,000 that goes to DOA and 465,000 that goes to DRT, and the bulk, 5.8 million, was going to public health. And so there's where the battle was. It was for public health. But we just also had a public hearing with public health, talking about all the federal money that they had going for them, $22 million of federal funds, and they also have lapse funds. And the committee chair, Senator Terlahi, gave a great letter to all our colleagues explaining that public health is fine with their budget. They have the money to perform what they need. And the argument was that they won't lose the federal funding, the match funding, but the money is there. So they couldn't convince us then, and they couldn't convince us now. As you can see, we got the 8-6 vote. So I'm glad for that. But, for the money for DOA and for DRT, the governor has 15% transfer authority. DOA and DRT, it only adds up to $1.2 million. With a stroke of a pen, the governor can transfer that, and you can take it from, we still got Hagania redevelopment on the books. Are we that department hasn't been activated for over 20 years, and now during this time we want to still keep it on the books. You can transfer money out of there. We have the Pacific Islands Development Bank, which is nice. It helps the outer islands, but that's over $1 million also.
Let's turn it over to Senator Castro. So Senator Castro, in Senator Terlahi's comments, she basically said, how can you accuse the, her of not living up to her, what was it, moral, ethical and fiduciary, right? Yeah, I mean, she kind of just clapped back, and it was like a knockout blow, I thought, because she said, "Hey, if you want to talk about that, where's the $10 million that we duly passed for the Guam Memorial Hospital?" They're sitting on this mountain of federal funds, right? So it kind of seems like if the governor has the transfer authority, like Senator Moylan said, Senator Terlahi said, you guys have given the tools to the governor to be able to move money where it's needed. For all intents and purposes, she can touch that mountain of CARES Act funds and give it over to public health. So if all that's true, why the whole big go into session and get this substitute bill passed when you guys say that you don't even need this? You could just move the money around and get things done on your own.
Sure, there are a couple of things. First of all, whoever advised the administration to send such a strong letter to a senator, I would never have done it. First of all, even though we have our differences, you could see Jim and I where we fall on the political spectrum. We have our differences as well. But to launch an attack on an individual senator, really, we're right there. And as she's conveying her sentiments and seeing that as a personal attack to her character, it riles her colleagues. People like me, I took offense to that as well. But there are a lot of things happening. I agreed to hear the governor's bill because out of courtesy. I remember when Governor Calvo was appealing in the 34th for a budget bill to be heard to address the TCJA and the $68 to $72 million cash shortfall. We summarily dismissed it, because I was part of the body, but it was a painful exercise. So the least we can do is hear from the governor's office about what changed. And I raised some of these concerns. Nothing's changed in terms of their projections. The only thing I heard didn't come from the legislature, Jim. I don't know if you caught that from DOL, that the federal pandemic unemployment assistance package, compensation packages, was to the tune of $900 million. If someone had articulated that from BBMR or DOA and taken us down that road to justify how there's sufficient amount of cash to go into our tax base between now and December, maybe 80 to 120, maybe I would have at least thought about it further. But no one was able to make that case for me. And so I wasn't convinced. And if there was more time, I can read out to their listenership about the withholding taxes and GRT and how they have declined from March to June and July. The last point I want to make is, if there's one thing that came out of that discussion, which I highlighted in the second round, it's this, that there is a severe disconnect, in my opinion, between the public health activities and their economic revitalization strategy. And I was going to ask, but I had only one question. How much did we lose in the protracted lockdown? So those two things have to be connected. You can't project a surplus or even an increase in anything if you're shutting down the economy based on what you're advised, I guess, from the advisory group because of a spike in cases. And so there's a lot of disconnects. I wasn't convinced. It's unfortunate that they couldn't make the case for an increase in the budget we passed.
So if we move to override this thing, I mean, it was kind of interesting. There was an 8-6 vote on the governor's substitute budget bill. Do you think the 13 will hold in an override attempt? Because it kind of seems like Adelup got to some of their people.
I can't speak for everybody else, but I'm still firm on our budget that we passed. I gave them the benefit of the doubt. I opened up that window for them to convince me, and not on the sidebars and not on the floor was the case made. And so I'm still with the bill that we passed with Senator San Agustin and his team.
Right, Senator Moylan.
Yeah, sure. We're a separate branch of government, and we showed that we are the checks and balances, and we're not rubber stampers. And when that budget first passed, that was 13 votes to pass that budget. The governor came back to him. She fought one more time and she lost. So now we're back to our original budget. So of those 13, we should have a strong strong approach to override what the governor vetoed, and so we can move forward. And if the budget improves, of course, the legislature will be out there to put more money in these desperate agencies that could use more help.
I agree. I put it out there. The supplemental approach to budgeting is on the table. There's nothing to preclude her from using that tool. But also, Chris, if I could, what I didn't hear from the administration was, if you give us a $7 million, I was trying to get that to my colleague, one of the agency directors, have her commit, like Calvo committed, that if we get this $7 million, which is still the budget we passed and the budget she was proposing is still a lot less than the original submissions. Let's just keep that in mind. The $49 million is still less than what she had originally submitted. But I was targeting the 68, Jim, because if we're looking at rolling back the BPT by that 1%, we'd have to be able to build enough of that. But I was waiting for the administration to commit. I mean, just go back. Look at a page out of the Calvo playbook or Camacho or your favorite governor. If the administration had committed to cutting the budget downrange, increasing federal funds, reorganizing, freezing positions, cutting back salaries, what did Governor Calvo do when we saw that we were in a state of fiscal fragility? He cut his senior staff and I think even the director's salaries. That to me, that was a display of leadership to say, I'll meet you halfway. But I got none of that from the discussions yesterday.
I think the governor's made it clear she's not doing any kind of
Cutting.
furloughs or anything like that. So have you guys heard from the speaker yet? Are you guys going to go into session today or anytime soon?
So the Appropriation Committee Chair, Senator San Augustine, did write to the Speaker and provided us copies of his request to the Speaker for the emergency session. So now we're just waiting on the reply. We're at the call of the Speaker right now.
Right. And what do you think that call is going to be, guys?
Yeah, we should get into session in a couple of hours. I'm ready to go to work this morning.
You ready, huh? So let's go. Let's go.
Let's go.
I just got to put on a pair of pants. I got my shorts on because we're in Zoom. Actually, on that note, I got my.
Damn. Whoa, guys. Twinsies. This is, wow. Guys,
standard uniform.
I got to ask, though, because there was a threat made that if this budget was enacted, that we would see furloughs. I don't know if it was in one of those cute graphics that Adelup had put out. And I just got to go back to, like, when you have Senator Kelly coming out against Adelup, then you got some problems, because she's been one of the go-tos for the governor. I mean, it's got to be awkward when she went home with her husband working for the administration. I wonder if there was anything like, God, babe, what the hell are you doing? And what the hell? Come on. I mean, I wonder if it was awkward, but she brought up those press releases and and I think Senator Therese kind of hit it on the head too. She said, hey, how can you guys complain when you guys didn't even show up?
You're talking 7 million. In the last administration, we were talking 70 million. So the legislature, Jim, I don't know. You definitely, I will yield to you in a minute. We're not in the business. I'm not in the business of slicing and dicing individual agencies and respective positions and divisions. As a matter of fact, that extends well beyond our organic act authority. But you can defund positions. Right. But that's going to be on the administration to prioritize those she wants to keep or those she wants to let go. And I think these tools are available to her. Attrition, retirement, promotion. There's a way to look at your local workforce. 7 million is not a lot to deal with between now and let's say June of next year. Jim?
When the OFB, that question was asked, Chris, to the OFB when we made this budget, and all the positions are funded. So we don't see any need to do those furloughs like the governor was explaining. Especially, I'm hoping the governor doesn't do any more pay increases as well during this time, especially for her political appointments. And so I don't feel that's an issue at all. Now we just got to work with what we have and build the economy back up as we take care of this pandemic, so we can do it safely and continue on with our new way of life.
Anybody tracks the budget process and the other side of this equation, the administration side, if you over budget and there's a shortfall of cash, usually one of the tools made available to any administration would be the allotments, the release of that cash to fill in the respective areas. So if there was a shortfall in one or more areas, that tool is available to her, and she can always come back to the body before we dismiss or before or when the next one is installed. And so I just didn't buy that part on the furloughs.
Yeah. In addition, the governor does have the transfer authority of 15%, and that's over $27 million. So if you manage it correctly, I believe we can get through this and we can build our economy back.
All right.
Well, thank you guys.
Thanks, senators. Hopefully we'll see you guys in session today.
Do you guys get any nasty letters, by the way, from Adelup?
No, not even a box of
Oh, they don't even respond.
You know Moylan ain't getting anything.
Well, thank you for the opportunity this morning.
Right, of course, Senator Will. Thanks for getting up early with us. Okay. And good luck, guys. Good luck.
Good luck.
All
Thank
right.
you. Bye-bye.
That's that. Wash your hands. Put on some pants, Senator. 7:52.
That'd be something, though, if Senator Moylan got a response.
I just feel like, why not? If they want to go off on Senator Therese in that way, with that letter, I mean, why not just go off on Senator Moylan, too? Because it feels like there's some people at Adelup are really pent up aggression and they just want to like go off on people and write these. Because this isn't even a COVID thing. We've been seeing these nasty letters being written. I remember the one they wrote to Superintendent Fernandez about the charter schools, and it was something like, "Dear John, don't you know we're taught to share as kids?" Something just super condescending. And this was just another example of this. Like, I don't know who's writing these letters at Adelup, but y'all got to check on them. Because they're too much alone time. And it's like, I feel like it's whoever's writing these letters just like, I hate the world and everybody is just. Anyway, 7:53. We'll take a break. We're coming back with raises, not raises. We'll get the straight story from the executive director, Ray Tapasny at Gora, next on The Link. It's The Breeze, 93.9.
McDonald's.
Your life moves quickly, so you need a card that keeps up with you. Tap and go with our contactless debit cards. Just open a checking account at First Hawaiian Bank.
GU Self-Storage, conveniently located near the Harmon McDonald's. We offer affordable rates, online payments, and auto bill pay for your convenience. Plus gate access daily from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. Call us today at 648-7867 for more information.
Hafa Day, my name is Zena Cruz Vecina, a registered nurse with the Department of Public Health and Social Services. COVID-19 continues to be a very real threat to Guam. Wearing an appropriate cloth face covering in public is a simple and important way you can protect yourself and others on our island. During a pandemic, no single action will stop the spread of the virus. Wash your hands often with soap and water, and stay 6 feet away from others. Prevention saves lives. For more information, please call 311 or check out our website at www.dphss.guam.gov.
These are some of the signs that someone is thinking about suicide. Talking about wanting to die, excessive guilt or shame, and feeling like a burden to others. Feeling empty, hopeless, trapped, or having no reason to live. Feeling extremely sad, anxious, agitated, or full of rage with unbearable emotional or physical pain. Other signs include changing behavior, such as making a plan or researching ways to die, withdrawing from friends or saying goodbye, giving away important items or making a will, taking dangerous risks such as driving extremely fast, displaying extreme mood swings, eating or sleeping more or less, and using drugs or alcohol more often. If you or someone you know is showing these warning signs, get help as soon as possible. Call Guam Behavioral Health and Wellness Center's crisis hotline at 647-8833 or 4.
You're watching The Link with Chris and Sabrina on TV 11. Stick around because we're next on CBS This Morning.
Hey, good morning, classic KC. Can you imagine when you wrote that? Guam is good. Guam is hot. Oh, yeah, I like that. Guam is not such a little spot. I do that. It's writing and you're like hot, bot, dot, tot, mot, not, what.
Quality songwriting right there. That's
Spot. Yeah, it's good. Hey, it works. Timeless. It's KC. Obviously, you guys know who it is. KC. The ultimate irony from the CNMI. Doing a song called Guam USA. Love it, though. 7:57. Let's jump into the KUAM News Zoom room. And the show is proudly brought to you by First Hawaiian Bank, Calvo Enterprises, and IT&E, where we have the executive director of the Guam Housing and Urban Renewal Authority, Ray Tapasnia. Good morning, Ray.
Good morning.
Thanks for coming on. I guess we'll just jump right into it. There was the board had awarded you guys due to your performance 4% retro. You and the deputy a 4% retroactive raise. I think going back to January. The decision voted on and approved by the board, right?
Well, let me start by saying I think the board is getting a bad rap for the decision they made last Friday at a board meeting. And this board has been really, really professional in everything they do. No more secret meetings as what occurred in a previous administration. In fact, they've been very professional. And, the members of this board have reputations that are on the line. And I want to thank them for the great work they've done since being appointed by the governor. But, unfortunately, the story that came out on the Post over the weekend and then even this morning was not completely accurate. GURA is currently undergoing an audit by the Office of Public Accountability, by the OPA. And the audit is going to be released hopefully within the next week. I don't want to preempt what the audit findings will be, but it's an audit of the similar to what occurred at the port and the utility agencies. It's an audit of unclassified positions, specifically the director and deputy director. So during our exit interview with the OPA, we spoke about specific concerns that they had to ratifying personnel actions in connection to the director and deputy director, which occurred over a lengthy period, I believe over the entire previous administration. So the concern by the OPA that was brought to our attention is that there were pay adjustments or salary increments in connection to performance evaluations that were not ratified by the board. We wanted to clean that up in our administration, and we've cleaned it up. My position, and this is in full transparency, for every performance evaluation, the board is involved, and as well the deputy. That did not occur in the previous administration, so we cleaned that up. And as well, my performance evaluation is on GURA's website pursuant to law. And so everything has been above board. And what we took to the board, or what the board approved on Friday, was the ratification. Basically, they had to ratify two things based on our discussions with the OPA. And the first one was our performance evaluations. And this is the performance for the period of December or January 2019 to January 2020. So it was pre-COVID. So what the board had to ratify, or first of all, evaluate the director and deputy director. And they did so, and then the board had to ratify it in a board meeting. As well, the board had to ratify any personnel actions in connection to the performance evaluations. Again, this is for the period of January 2019 to January 2020, so it's pre-COVID. Unfortunately, because of COVID, none of these things were actually done because, we had trouble having board meetings until the executive order was clear how we were to do it, because we couldn't have a person-to-person contact and all of that stuff. So yes, we're about 8 months late in getting the board to ratify, but of course the reporter didn't understand what needed to occur and said we got pay raises. I did not get a pay raise. My deputy didn't get a pay raise. I'm willing to share my paycheck of today and 2 months ago, and it's the same.
Ray,
So there has been no
me
pay adjustment.
let me
There has
cut in
been no
here.
pay-
Sorry, Ray. We're KUAM FM, Gotnia, Guam. To our viewers on KUAM TV, thanks so much for watching. Jump over to our KUAM News Facebook Live feed where we'll continue our interview with the Gura Executive Director, Ray Tapasina, who says, I did not put the Ray in raises. No raises were received. And so we'll continue with that interview right here on the other side. Also, we're the Breeze 93.9, KUAM FM in Gotnia, Guam. Okay, we'll see you over here. Stajos. Bye. Hi. Welcome back. So, Ray, you didn't get a raise, but you were going to, right?
Well, you know, and if I can just share with you, Chris, it's very interesting. I've become a political pawn in this debate between the administration and the Guam legislature, and the legislature is all, politicking so that they can be reelected. And some of the comments that have come out in recent days are quite shocking to me because they're just blatant lies. And if I can just share with you, one of the things that you guys aired yesterday, Senator San Augustine and Senator Therese Terlahi were saying nobody should get a pay raise across Gov Guam, and we're not supposed to be giving raises in the middle of these things. When Therese Terlahi said that, I presume she meant the pandemic, but it was the legislature that restored increments to Gov Guam back for FY20. So to say that no one should be getting a raise or no one should be getting a pay increment is completely false, because they're the ones that restored the increment through the passage of the FY20 budget. In fact, all of Gov Guam continues unless we're directed through executive order, or unless the legislature passes a law. The entire government of Guam increments are still in place.
Right, but
so when people are crying foul because Gura had put forth before the board just to ratify, just to make sure that the paperwork is clear, but I didn't get a pay raise, mind you. But Gov Guam employees, maybe 10,000 or more have received pay adjustments or pay increments in connection to their performance evaluations. If they got a satisfactory or higher, then they received one. So I don't think that has been rescinded or that has been stopped via executive order or via legislation. But it was the legislature, in fact, that restored increments via the passage of the budget bill. So all of Gov Guam continues to receive this, or not all, but everyone that has a performance evaluation and got satisfactory or higher. So to say that, we're giving out pay raises at Gura, that's not true. During difficult times, we recognize these are difficult times, and we house 4,882 families, and we recognize that many of them have been impacted by COVID. But to say that, Senator Taitagui said that some of this money should be applied towards the homeless population or Section 8 public housing. Well, there's a reason why the governor didn't appoint Telo Taitagui to Gura, because she probably would run the operation right into the ground. I'll be honest with you, my salary doesn't come out of Section 8 or homeless programs or public housing. It comes out of a separate funding source, which is called entitled the Cost Office, Central Office Cost Center. And the money that's derived from that, it comes from management fees for managing the Section 8 program, public housing program, and everything we do at Gura. And so I'm not able to tap from Section 8. I'm not able to tap from homeless programs in order to pay my salary, and vice versa. I'm not able to take the Central Office Cost Center and pay and apply it towards homeless programs. So, there's a reason why she's not here. But she also made a number of comments which are blatant lies. She said, I'm the highest paid director and my deputy is the highest paid deputy, according to your media report. Yeah. But I'm just clarify, Chris, and please give me a moment here. 20 deputy directors or second assistants in GovGuam make more than my deputy director. And that's everyone from the 2 port deputies to the airport deputy to GMAs to GCC, UOG, everybody.
Yeah, so
DOE's got
basically
4.
a lot of the deputy directors in the administration are highly overpaid, is what you're trying to say.
No, what I'm saying is for Senator Tello Taitagui to insinuate that the deputy is the highest paid in GovGuam. It's not true when 20 of them, possibly more, I just did my research this morning, possibly more. I found 20 of them making more than the deputy, and 8 directors or, top positions throughout the, whether it be the administration or just the autonomous agency, eight directors or top positions make more than I do. So to insinuate for Senator Tello Taitagui, again, it's election year, to say I'm the highest paid director, not true at all. That's a blatant lie, and I'll call her out on that.
So you're top 10.
But the bottom line, Chris, is we did not get a pay raise. The board did what they thought was prudent based on our exit interview with the OPA, because in the previous administration, there were concerns that the board wasn't ratifying performance evaluations and wasn't ratifying personnel actions. So that's all we did. The reporter, when they ran the story in the Post, never asked me whether the raises were going to take effect. They just ran the story.
Yeah.
So
but
they approved a pay raise, but you're not getting the pay raise.
It's basically
I'm not
what you're
getting a
saying.
pay raise, and they did not approve a pay raise. They approved the performance evaluations and the increments attached to that, but we did not process it, nor do we.
So they approved the raise that included the performance evaluation. I mean, it is what it is, Ray. They approved you to get a raise, and now you're not getting it. How does that make you feel, though? Because it sounds like you think you really deserve it.
Well, that doesn't matter. What matters is the way you guys are reporting it. That I got a pay raise. I didn't get a pay raise, and I probably won't get a pay raise until things stabilize in Guam, and that's a decision made on our part. But the stories that are coming out is he should have used it to help the homeless population.
Yeah, we don't control what the senators say, Ray. I know you know that, and if the board approves a performance evaluation that includes a pay raise, then of course we can report on that. I mean, it is what they approved it. And so do you think you deserve it? Because you made the case for your performance on this job. And I mean, are you kind of like a little butthurt maybe that now you're not getting the raise?
Not at all, Chris. You guys have made it very clear, the people in the media, that I make a decent amount of money. I'm happy with it. Again, the timing of this, while it may appear suspect simply because of the pandemic, it's primarily because just Thursday, the day before the board meeting, we had an exit interview with the OPA, and concerns were brought to our attention about the board not ratifying personnel actions and personnel personnel evaluations. So we just cleaned it up, and I'm hoping when the OPA releases the audit in about a week, he assured us it was going to be released before the end of the fiscal year, that it will clear things up, that everything that we've done at GORA was above board. In fact, I believe we may be one of the few, if maybe the only one, that actually is so transparent that we put it before the board to be ratified, and so the media is able to know what's going on. And for the senators to say, well, we didn't know any of these things, well, not true, because we do submit a report monthly, and we're never late, and we never
right,
miss.
Ray, congratulations to the GORA board. Thank you. But at the end of the day, a raise was approved, right?
At the end of the day, they approved a pay increment, but
yes, right.
Us 10,000 or more other GovGuam employees.
Yeah, but Ray, there's a big difference between Joe Cruz or Josefa Cruz, who's sweeping DOE and gets an outstanding evaluation and gets their measly 3% increment. You're just playing at a much higher level. So to compare yourself to these rank and file classified employees, I'm a little offended by that on their behalf.
Well, there's more liability on for me to assume this position, Chris. I mean, I sign about I'm responsible for about $127 million, including passed through federal accounts. And ultimately, the buck stops with me. I have to sign those documents. And, no, I'm not comparing myself to somebody else in a classified employee in GovGuam that doesn't have that kind of liability. I'm just saying there's a reason why the pay at GURA is at that level and why the board felt it was necessary to pay us accordingly. I mean, I don't think somebody making $80,000, $90,000 in GovGuam has that kind of responsibility and is going to be held to account. If I sign something or if I approve something that's inappropriate, everybody knows what happens at GORA when you're stepping out of line. You get prosecuted. So I'm pretty certain what we've done, what the board did was in accordance with law, and the audit will show that when it comes out. And, if this legislature wants to hold an oversight hearing, I actually welcome it. You're not going to hear that from too many top positions in the government. I welcome it because we will respond to all their concerns. But right now, they're just trying to get reelected. So a lot of the things that they're saying are not even close to being true. It's it's blatant lies. I'm not the highest paid director. I'm not even close to being the highest paid director.
Just top 10. Yeah. I mean, Ray, keep on, please, but it's not sounding too good out here on your end. But let me go back to the raise, right? So you're not getting the raise. It was approved by the board, retroactive to January 2020. So when this whole pandemic, God, I hope it blows over. Are you then going to get the raise, and is it then going to be applied retroactively to January 2020?
That would be up to my board. I don't get to decide what I get paid. The board does. Based on what they passed Friday, I presume so. But again, it's entirely up to the board. I can tell you right now what the board approved Friday. There was no ill intent, and there was no mindset to process anything during difficult times. We recognize that the timing is bad, but we also recognize that the OPA was going to release an audit of GORA within the next week or so. And we wanted to make sure in good faith to show the OPA that we've done everything that they had concerns about. And it was just as simple as that. Did the reporter ask me that? No, they just ran the story, and, things got blown out of proportion. But until I get that pay raise, I don't think anyone should be crying foul. And then when the legislature, when the governor decides to appoint someone at the Guam Housing and Urban Renewal Authority who feels is competent down at the legislature, then so be it. Maybe you can figure out how to do a better job than I can. But right now, that's not the case. So, my apologies, but, I got paid a lot of money because I think our organization is doing extremely well. A lot better than what's going on at the legislature, that's for sure. And I don't want to get baited into, the debate between the administration. We don't even get a penny from the Guam legislature. And everyone that understands federal funds will understand that, and HUD has come out and threatened to recapture $2.7 million initially. Now we got another $7 million increase to our Section 8 program. And officially, they've told me we're going to lose about $4 to $5 million of that because of COVID, and we're not able to spend those monies expeditiously. Our board has been very proactive in trying to figure out ways, together with management, to spend down on these funds. And I don't know whether you guys have ever managed federal programs. Well, I manage over $100 million.
Yeah.
And if you don't spend the money, it goes to the federal coffers. So, hey, what can I say? The reporter ran that story, said I got a pay raise. No, I didn't. But the reporter doesn't know how GORA operates, and neither does Telo Taitaqui, neither does anyone at the Guam legislature.
Only Ray.
All right. Well, thanks, Ray, for sharing your side of the story.
Yeah. And that's why I wanted to get you on,
You said
Ray.
you didn't get a pay raise, but the board approved a pay raise, and they had to do it to make sure, everything's on the up and up, and, you got an audit coming down. So I guess it is what it is, huh?
I beg of everyone to wait for the audit. If there's an audit finding, then there'll be egg in my face. If there's an audit finding on my part, then there's egg in my face. But I'm pretty...
we'll wait. Yeah, you're right. We'll wait for the audit. But at the end of the day, like we said, you were approved for a raise. An increment, and that's basically what we're saying.
Yeah,
as was everyone who received a satisfactory and above performance evaluation.
And,
so, you know, like I said earlier, to say that I'm the only one and the deputy are the only ones, no, the entire government of Guam did, and the legislature approved that.
Again, but there's a big difference.
So
between
they all got a raise. All the people that are doing such an awesome job.
I'm not aware of a single person who got a satisfactory performance evaluation or higher that did not get a pay adjustment, not a raise, a pay increment.
Okay.
Okay,
So,
right. We're gonna let Lieutenant
So I
Governor.
guess we should go ask. Yeah, we can ask Josh who all got a pay adjustments.
No,
Increments.
he's talking about the salary increments for the government employees. That you're correct in that, Ray, that they were allowed for the fiscal year. But I'm just saying it's a little different to compare you, who makes $153,000, you know, managing all the federal programs and whatnot, versus a janitor or, you know, a classified nurse or whatever.
And that, but there's a lot of people,
Police officer.
and me, and a lot of classified people that make more than I do as well, that probably receive their increments because they got a satisfactory and above. So, you know, it is what it is. That's the way the government operates. You got to you got to pay people their worth, or, you know, in order to retain them, or you know, you're going to lose them to the private sector.
So if you didn't get a raise, would we lose you to the private sector? Like, what private sector company would you go work for if you didn't get a raise that would pay you $153,000? That's crazy.
You know, I'm not going to go down that road, but
You just tried to go down that road. You just said that, oh, if we don't pay the people what they're worth, then we lose them to the private sector. But I just don't ever see that. People say that all the time. Oh, if we don't pay the chief of staff $120,000, we're going to lose them to the private sector. Like, really? What private sector is going to pay this dude $120,000 just because he's related to somebody or because he campaigned hard? It's not real. Sorry, it is what it is. But you know, one thing I love about you, Ray, is you will come on and you'll answer, and, you know, it might not be what we want to hear, but you're saying the stuff. So
no, Chris, let me close by saying this, and I'm probably going to get in a little bit of trouble for saying this, but there was actually a recommendation by federal authorities to put me here at GURA. The governor didn't have to comply with that, but there was in fact a recommendation for me to come here so that I can clean up this mess. And if I can just state for the record, and I'm going to have a lot of people up in arms because I said this, there's a reason why there were charges that were levied against the previous board and the executive director who pled guilty, and the previous counsel, and actually 2 other attorneys involved with GURA who ended up paying back the federal government. And I have proof of all of this. And if you want to FOIA it, I'll give it to you. You don't need to FOIA it, I'll give it to you. But the bottom line is I was put here to clean up this mess, so I'm not going to do anything that would put me in harm's way, when really I'm the reason why there was a federal investigation of the Guam Housing Authority, and there was a raid, and all the files were taken, and they built a case, and unfortunately the new AG, you know, for some reason the cases were dropped, but there's still cases before, both civilly and criminally in federal court. But I'm because of my relationship with the federal government, I'm not going to do anything that would betray them and put me in harm's way, or any of my staff here. And, you know, it is what it is. You don't believe me? Hey, go talk to the feds.
All right. Thanks a lot, Ray.
appreciate it, Ray.
Stay safe. Stay safe.
Wash your hands.
Have a good day.
You too.
too.
Okay, bye. Let's let that marinate for a second there. Hey, it is what it is, guys. I just man, let's go ahead and bring Lieutenant Governor Josh, who, probably was just thinking, oh, this is going to go on Chris and Sabrina's show and just give him a little update. And now Ray Tapasny had to go and mess up the bed for you. And now you got to.
So, Lieutenant Governor, who in the federal government told you got to hire Ray and clean up the mess at Gora?
Oh, man.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Lieutenant
Sorry
Governor.
about that. Good morning first. So, who? Hodzi.
It's Uncle Sam, right? It's Uncle
Yeah.
Sam?
Who in the federal government said he has to be hired?
I'm not gonna say I don't know. All I tell you that there were a lot of concerns, and in transition, and even after he came into office, the feds at HUD have been happy with the new direction that Gura has been in. That being said, unfortunately, this is just not a good time for pay increments for any of the any cabinet member or agency head. And so, I'd just say, I appreciate the work that he and the deputy are doing, but unfortunately, this is a different time right now. We're in a pandemic, and with so many thousands of people that are out of work or having the challenges, it's just not an appropriate time for that.
Right. So is that I don't know what the hell he's talking about or what, because he said he's got proof that the feds said that he needs to be hired, that he should be hired to clean up all the whatever's going on at Gura. So, I
I think we established that a lot of stuff, there were a lot of issues there, and he played an important role in getting it cleaned up. And I'll also say that obviously there's also been a long-standing lawsuit that's been going on over there. And so part of what I think Ray's talking about was his lawsuit has to do with the wrongful termination. And one of the ways to mediate would be to reinstate him to his old position. Of course, he was appointed to a new position as the agency head.
Right.
So I would, based on what I'm hearing, I would think that would be the case. That would be the issue, and it coming from the Justice Department probably.
Right. That's a little different than the way he explained it, where he said, "Oh yeah, the Fed said no, you got to hire this guy." I mean,
well, feds can recommend, right? But the governor appoints the board will select somebody, and then we just want to make sure that they do the right thing and do a good job.
Interesting take on it, LT. And good morning.
That's my take.
Yeah, hey, well, it's a good take.
We'll take it.
Yeah. We'll take that take. Okay. Let's just jump right into the budget. Governor's substitute bill. Thou shalt not pass.
Before we do that, I just want to, it's my first time to talk to you in about a week. And since we last talked, we lost many people, including the child the other day. And so, I've been thinking about that nonstop. I'm sure you guys have been too. Yeah. And notwithstanding the fact that there may be other, health conditions going on with people. But again, like I said last week, this certainly wasn't planned by their family. And I just want to express my condolences, and in particular, really mourn the loss of this child.
What can you tell us, Lieutenant Governor? Because I've asked a lot of people about this, and a lot of them don't know anything. We tried to get a hold of the Naval Hospital. We're not sure if this child was a dependent of a military service member, or if it was one of those situations where it was so dire that they had to go to the closest hospital. So we don't really know anything, it's kind of alarming.
Yeah, I don't know any more details other than I did hear that the child was not military dependent. I just heard that this morning, but I'll probably get a confirmation from what the Navy hospital is going to report through the surgeon cell.
Right.
So get all the details, but it's a big loss, I would say, for a child.
So, wait, you said he was not a military dependent, so he may have been transported to Naval Hospital by Guam Fire? Right?
That's all I know, is that he wasn't dependent. I'm not sure, as you know, people who are not dependents or not entitled to healthcare at Navy hospitals sometimes get their presented themselves either to the gate or that's the closest. I don't know all the details yet. I'm guessing that might have happened, but I'll wait to hear the details and see what Navy hospital is disclosing to public health and to our surgeon cell.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, we did want to touch on, obviously, just the deaths. It's out of control. We had Dr. Uggan on yesterday from the Guam Memorial Hospital, and I thought she did a good job of explaining how this virus has, I don't know if evolved's the right word, but how it was thought in the beginning to attack the lungs, and now she's saying that they find that as it moves through the vascular system, it attacks other parts of the body. With patients with comorbidities.
Even for me, right, some insight for me before I tested positive, I actually had, going through my regular blood work, and I did a stress test. First time I did a stress test, I did pretty good. And I was just reading articles about long-lasting effects on people post-COVID, and already wondering whether or not when I go to see my doctor, do I need to get I probably should get us another stress test to compare pre and post, because we're not sure what the lasting health effects are for those of us that have recovered. I've been reading the same articles and, seeing how this thing has been evolving, and even wondering how that's going to affect myself long term, if any. Hopefully not. But it is a big mystery for us.
Right. Can we now get into the budget, LT? As you saw,
Yeah.
you saw that the substitute bill shut down last night in a pretty fiery session. Were you watching, and what was your take on that?
I didn't watch it yet. I'll go on YouTube and take a look. I guess my take on it is we all have our responsibilities, and 8 of the senators that are in session, based on their authority and based on their judgment, decided to vote against the bill. And I guess this afternoon, Senator San Augustine will make a motion to override, and we'll take a look and see what happens with the override. Assuming that let's say that the override does occur and that the veto is set aside, then we just need to shift the focus on trying to figure out a good pathway to maintain the stability at public health, despite the $14 million pay cut or $14 million agency cut that they have, and try and figure out what avenues we have to maintain the levels at public health, knowing that public health is in need of a lot of different things to respond.
Right.
But I think that's going to be the task and the primary responsibility that we will have once, if and when a veto is overridden.
Is it really as simple as some of the senators say? Well, we've got this CARES Act funds, geared towards COVID-19. Could we give public health $14 million or whatever that you said they need to respond to this pandemic? Could that be done with the federal funds, and then the local funds be used to shore up whatever non-COVID? Because it kind of seems in my mind like, why aren't we doing that? And you guys were called out for it last night. And
we just can't. We just have to follow the rules and make sure that we don't supplant. The big thing with federal funds is you can't supplant, and which means in that simple way, shifting people that are obligated to work on things on the general fund and move them to Fed funds, unless they are departing from their job and taking up a new responsibility that is funded by the federal government. But it is, I guess we definitely get into the intricacies. I know that public health is looking at that, just trying to make sure that they channel the resources to respond to the pandemic, and then figure out what kind of services may be left behind or set aside that are not COVID related or are not directly responsible for the patient health side. But I think that's a lot of work getting into the details. And definitely I'll be looking at that very closely as well.
What was the point in this Senator Therese Terlahi letter on, reminding her of her fiduciary and ethical and moral responsibility? Because, that letter, it set her off last night.
I know that wasn't you.
Well,
I
guess it's a clash between the oversight chair and her responsibilities and the expectations that people have for her to provide over the healthcare side, and the conflict with the governor and the differing opinions. I read the letter briefly this morning, and there's a buzz about it. I've heard some folks asking.
Just a little buzz.
There's a tiny,
I have to use my Google here and or go back into Facebook and rewind your.
I'll
show
send you
so I
the
can
clip.
listen
Yeah,
to
we can send it over.
Yeah, I just got off the news, and I heard her, upset because I leave my TV on session, and I didn't know what was going on, and then I got a copy of the letter, and I was like, oh.
And basically, it was the letter, and as you read it, I'm sure you know, called her out and said, "Hey, as the chair, you're supposed to do what you can to save lives." And then she kind of clapped back and said, "Hey, well, hold up just a minute, because you guys got all this federal money. We passed $10 million for Guam Memorial Hospital. They never saw it. So I thought it was.
Yeah, I mean, there was also a part about some politicians choosing to grandstand.
Right.
Whoa.
Right, yeah. Was that? I mean, and that's on the governor's side of the house, but I know you guys are a team. But that kind of the tone was pretty. And the tone that we saw with some of these budget graphics that come out, some might say condescending a little bit. What'd you make of that, LT?
Well, I mean, I guess this is the part of the discourse. Some people like it, some people love it, some people hate it. I think that they have opinions. They have certainly, the governor for sure. She's motivated by her real belief that the budget shortchanged public health and puts us in a bind. And although there is a significant or a 15% transfer authority, which is in good times is a typical amount. I think that she's responding to that pressure of that responsibility, and she sees that as her number one right now. Number one responsibility is to address public health of the people of Guam, and she does not believe, or we do not believe, that the budget is in line with that. That being said, we're going to have to deal with whatever the realities that come. I know that the governor for sure is not in favor of an override of the veto. And I support her in that. But no matter what, on October 1st, we are running the government, and we will make sure that we do everything we can to empower everybody in the front line to try and respond the best that they can, and to make up for things that they don't respond the best. It's always constantly a movement to try and figure out how best to respond and how best to keep people safe. We don't always get it on the first try, but that's our motivation, is to try and respond in that way.
So we just got the memo that there is going to be a emergency session at 2:00 this afternoon. Say this override attempt fails. Do you know what's the next step in the process?
Then the next step would be for another budget bill and another budget session. I would say, since the governor's substitute budget focused in on the $7 million and the allocations, I would think that the debate and the discourse should focus in on that to try and catch up on some time. But that we basically it would be almost like Groundhog Day. We'd be kind of like starting from scratch, but I would say like maybe 90% of all of the stuff is already done. They just need to focus in on the public health side of it and how they would agree to increase the revenue projection. I guess that's the other discourse, is whether or not, because we are in this situation, some senators are not very comfortable in increasing the revenue projection, whereas the administration, based on the tax collection that we've been doing and the aggressive revenue collection, especially for back taxes, we believe otherwise. But the purse string and the responsibility to determine the budget rests with the legislature and the administration. We have to execute and implement whatever comes our way. And this is a time to try and influence and to be clear with the impact. But other than that, we'd be basically having to start a new budget bill.
Wow. Any comment on the sudden retirement of Public Health Medical Director Dr. Janet Mcglonia?
I just want to thank her. She actually is in my neighborhood, sort of in my neighborhood. She's on the way other side of my neighborhood in Telefofo, and I know her husband, Martin, very well. I just want to thank her for her service. I was surprised. I did not know about it until Monday when the governor shared the letter with us. And I didn't expect it, because I was watching briefly the confirmation hearing for Arts and Augustine on Thursday night, I think it was, and she was well engaged, as she always is.
We had her on Wednesday. We had her on Wednesday, and we did a whole interview, and not a word about her retirement.
Yeah. Well, people in these positions, and if you read some articles throughout the states, a lot of senior public health officials are leaving their posts. Part of it is they don't want to deal with the politics, or it's just a lot. I mean, these people have been working 7 days a week, and at a certain point, you think to yourself, "Is this how I want to spend the quality of my life?" And I respect the decision that she made to go ahead and do the retirement. But I do want to thank her for her service.
Right. I want to ask LT because we just sent the FOIA, but and I know Ray's not Ray's was through the board, but are there any more unclassified Gov Guam employees at the cabinet level or whatever who have received any pay adjustments or pay corrections or anything that
or approved
that you signed off on, or the Gov that you know of?
No, not to my knowledge, and certainly nothing that I've participated in, but I would expect that there shouldn't be. Now, that being said, all the autonomous agencies have their own pay scales, and their boards operated. They got decentralized many years ago. It used to be a unified pay plan or a unified pay policy, but not to my knowledge. And like I said, and if there are other performance evaluations for any of the other autonomous agencies that are up, I just advise the boards and their agency heads, yes, do your performance evaluation, but certainly this is not a time, and there shouldn't be any pay adjustment during this pandemic and until we get this government and the revenue stabilized.
We talk about pay raises, and it kind of came up, and it has been a recurring theme. Pay cuts, right, for at the cabinet level, and I know the governor has vehemently said that's not going to happen. Are you guys on the same page with that?
With no cut reductions in salaries?
Right.
Well, I think we try and do everything we can not to get to that point, for sure. But yeah, of course, I'm on the same page with her.
Right. Okay. Bree?
No,
Are we forgetting to ask you anything, LT?
Anything new with the homeless shelters?
Right, yeah.
A new homeless shelter? Other than just global?
I wish. We have some prospects in Tumuning, but the prices are not coming in the right way, not fair prices. I had a meeting about that actually on Friday, just touching base, getting briefed by GSA and Civil Defense on the efforts, but we don't have a fair price or a sustainable strategy yet in Tumuning. But there's pressure on, and there's a waiting list of 23 at Global. And based on Catholic Social Service last report on their outreach, there are more people willing now to get shelter than were last month. So there's two of them. That's the one in Tumuning, and the second one has to do with the 11 patients at GMH and GRMC that are taking up acute beds that should be discharged, but they're not because they don't have any place to be discharged to. A lot of these are seniors. So Dr. Margaret Hattori Uchima from UOG, who's on the council, has been the lead from our council, but working with the surgeon cell and public health to also get a facility to transfer those that are in the hospitals that don't require that level of care, that can step down, but don't have any place to step down to. So most of the 11 people would consider as part of the homeless population because there isn't a place to discharge you. Some of them, they might have relatives. They live on a second story of an apartment building that doesn't have an elevator, and they might be an amputee. There's different things that the social workers and the health folks are looking at. But we're working right now to try and on an interim basis, move them into a public health facility on Woodstock Road that has been used before as a dementia center. And we would only have that building, I would say for a few months while we find a permanent solution. I mean, optimally, the goal, of course, is always to normalize services, and then we would want to return the services that were once there. But that's the second group. So I have two groups I'm monitoring right now on the homeless / healthcare front, and those are the two.
Man, LT, before we let you go, we talked with Superintendent Fernandez last week, and I know that some of the board members name drop you, talking about discussions to bring more accessibility for online services and whatnot for the kids. Can you just give us a status update on where you guys are at and working with GDOE?
Sure. So for the 12.5 million of education assistance funding for all the school students, we're working with DOE. We have a proposal we submitted to DOE to U.S. Department of Education, where we're allotting nearly $9 million, about $8.9 million we would send over to DOE in a sub-grant that will be for all students it'll be subsidized access for the homes for students attending public, private, or charter schools. And then the rest of it has to do with, we have a movement to invest more or install more online Wi-Fi resources in the libraries, in the community resource centers. And then we're also working with the Mayor's Council to figure out how to, and for their assessment, to also make the same investments in the community centers. All of that will join about 23 school campuses that DOE has identified for the same. And it's basically to try and step up Wi-Fi access or add on additional facilities for students and parents to come so that they could avail themselves of the connectivity to try and support the work. The other big portion is with PBS, and we have plans with DOE to expand the PBS University and to increase the production capacity of it, make that available to all students. And then also at Department of Youth Affairs, the DOE runs a school up there too, and in this kind of environment, it's also going to try and facilitate the distance learning on that side. So all of it really it's working cooperation and collaboratively with DOE on trying to address the access at the home front, but also access to facilities that can support the distance learning.
Thank you, LT.
All right. Well,
Thank
thanks.
you.
Have a good day.
Yeah, we'll
All
see you
right,
next
take care.
Tuesday. Go chew
All
out.
right.
Go chew out, Ray.
Just want to say good morning to Mrs. Gutierrez and to Mark Mignola
Right.
from the board.
Right.
Thank
Yeah,
them
they're
from-
standing by there yet. There you go. They're
right.
waving.
Good
morning, Lieutenant Governor.
Oh, there you go.
Good morning. Thank you.
Take care.
Okay. And he's out. Right on. We're going to take a Mrs. G, a very short, I'm only going to play 4 commercials. And then we're coming right back to you guys. We have the chair and the vice chair of the Board of Education next. On the link, it's The Breeze 93.9. Good morning, Guam.
GU Self-Storage, conveniently located near the Harmon McDonald's. We offer affordable rates, online payments, and auto bill pay for your convenience. Plus gate access daily from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. Call us today at 648-7867 for more information.
Your life moves quickly, so you need a card that keeps up with you. Tap and go with our contactless debit cards. Just open a checking account at First Hawaiian Bank.
Hafa Day, my name is Zena Cruz Vecina, a registered nurse with the Department of Public Health and Social Services. COVID-19 continues to be a very real threat to Guam. Wearing an appropriate cloth face covering in public is a simple and important way you can protect yourself and others on our island. During a pandemic, no single action will stop the spread of the virus. Wash your hands often with soap and water and stay 6 feet away from others. Prevention saves lives. For more information, please call 311 or check out our website at www.dphss.guam.gov.
These are some of the signs that someone is thinking about suicide. Talking about wanting to die, excessive guilt or shame, and feeling like a burden to others. Feeling empty, hopeless, trapped, or having no reason to live. Feeling extremely sad, anxious, agitated, or full of rage with unbearable emotional or physical pain. Other signs include changing behavior, such as making a plan or researching ways to die, withdrawing from friends or saying goodbye, giving away important items or making a will, taking dangerous risks such as driving extremely fast, displaying extreme mood swings, eating or sleeping more or less, and using drugs or alcohol more often. If you or someone you know is showing these warning signs, get help as soon as possible. Call Guam Behavioral Health and Wellness Center's crisis hotline at 647-8833 or 4.
You're watching The Link with Chris and Sabrina on TV 11, but don't leave yet because we're coming up next on CBS This Morning.
We got your 6.
At 6 a.m. with The Link on Breeze 93.9 FM. Bree and I connect you with all the latest news and information you need to know to start your day.
Then check back with Guam's news leader at 6 p.m. for the day's top headlines with KUAM News Primetime.
From 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. and everything else in between with KUAM Digital, we got your 6. Let's go to the KUAM News Zoom room. We have standing by the chair and the vice chair of the Guam Education Board, Chairwoman Maria Gutierrez, and Vice Chair Mark Mendiola.
Hafiday.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, Mrs. G.
Good morning.
Good morning.
What a nice virtual background.
I like your background, Mrs. G. Are you doing your mental exercise or your physical exercise? Because I don't want you to get my ticket on me.
I'm home.
She's at home. Okay, right.
I'm at home.
Nice view.
Hey, Chris, happy belated birthday.
Thank you, Mrs. G. Thank you very much.
Hey, wow.
Yeah, I think Vice Chair was going to sing us a song there with his guitar.
Oh, yeah, I got it. JD Crutch, is that what you want?
JD Crutch, yes, sir.
No, we want to hear the DOE budget blues.
There we go.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. I just thank the chair. We had a meeting a couple days ago, budget after the legislature sent the budget to the governor. So obviously we've been listening closely to the conversation, Ms. G. And so, of course, we got some concerns, some issues that we wanted to, just make sure that people are well aware. The biggest challenge that we have out there is how do we, divvy up the resources that is limited. We understand the environment we're in, but, education is still going on, despite the challenges that we're faced with online learning. We try to do face-to-face, but obviously it's very tough to do this in this type of environment. And when you hear about a child 10 years old, and not that much information coming from that, but it just makes you kind of, take a step back and look at what's going on, and how are we, are these things preventable? Of course, that's the biggest key. And then the other thing too is the discussion that we have, amongst our employees. That was a big discussion that we had, putting them in harm's way as well. We also have nurses too that were on the front line, the first wave, and I'm pretty sure they're going to be caught up. And then the other thing too that we're also dealing with is the mental health, and the department has also been assisting in distribution of commodities. So yeah, it's going on. We continue, mission forward with trying to do our best, but of course the limited resources. But the conversation is pretty interesting because when we looked at the budget that was sent to the governor, you know, we realized that actually if we absorb that 5% cut, folks, that's going to be $30 million in the last since 2018. $30 million has been cut from the Department of Education.
Crazy.
And with this 5%, they're anticipating a 5% reduction, which equates to about close to $12 million. So you put that all together, Chris, you're asking us to do more with less, and then charter schools opening up. That's also publicly funded charter schools.
Right.
So, you know, you got to kind of take a step back and say, okay, we got the CARES money, but a good portion of that also goes to private schools and charter schools. 10 million of that goes there. So you got $30 million basically that we have to put to 30,000 students, you know, into getting the technology and you understand technology is not cheap. So obviously there's a lot of things that the department has to do. And then on the local appropriation side of things, you know, when you look at the budget, things that jumped out at me and our during our board meeting was number one, you know, we kind of defunded the sports program. You know, the sports program that we had, and some of the discussions surrounded about, you know, the superintendent has transfer authority, you know, but the challenge with that is you already cut us that amount, and then you wanted to transfer within the budget, and then, you know, the other point that we put out there was this limited gaming fund. You know, that was an interesting point because now we no longer have those games of chance and then the cockfighting, which is where you get that revenue source, but then they put more exposure to that. And basically they're saying those two things that really fund that fund is no longer there, but we're still going to give you more money from that fund. Right. So, you know, that was an issue or concern that we raised. We understand the dynamics of what's going on with our budget and stuff like that, but at the end of the day, our board, our responsibility is to advocate for our Department of Education.
Right.
And you know, we're gonna let them know that you know, the department cannot absorb that big of a hit in the middle of opening this pandemic, you know, and trying to educate our children. And so everybody's saying, hey, you know, federal funds this, federal funds that. A lot of people don't realize that there's this thing called the maintenance of effort. And I'm glad that the LT was talking about the grants and all this stuff, but it's your 3 average years of your local appropriations that allows you or gives you access to those federal funds. So if you cut the department for the level of maintenance of effort, you basically also reduces our chance of getting additional federal funding. So it's a double whammy for the department. It's called the maintenance of effort. And we've been raising that issue. I think Ms. G, myself, numerous times we've gone roundtable after roundtable, budget hearings. We submit our budget on the 31st of January. And so up until that point, we've always had these, our oversight chair has called us into the meeting time and time again, whether it be on special education, whether it be on operations, you know, and the department, we're just strapped, you know, both financially and then also, you know, the resources that we have for our kids. Sorry, it's long-winded, but
no,
you know, I also wanted to touch later on, if you want, on the what the high-risk status means. For
but we want to let
I'll
Mrs.
get
G.
the chair.
Right. Yeah.
Say something if she wants to.
Mrs. G, I just got to ask because it's.
You know, I've been watching the budget hearings, the session that was going on, and I am sensitive to, you know, where we are right now, and I know every department and agencies have the same thing, or is going through the same thing. But you know, in the Department of in Education, especially with DOE, we really, you know, people were saying that our employees are not really working because of this P-Core 1. Little do they know that they're teleworking, and even those that goes to the school for the grab and learn, they're risking their life, their health, going out there. Although they really wanted to just to be stay at home, but it's a commitment and that they have for the Department of Education. I am very concerned because I also saw the governor's revised budget. And DOE didn't get any a penny from the revised budget.
Not
and
even
I
a penny?
the governor for that decision that she look at public health. I am wondering now, and I'm going to watch again the session today. Is what are they going to really do? Are they going to work together and look at what are the three under the Organic Act: health, safety, and education. Um, Although the schools are not on the face-to-face learning right now because of this PICO one, but we're still continuing. And one thing as a board member and my other colleagues is we sure do not want our employees to be stressed of wondering whether the shortfall that we're going to be getting with in the Department of Education, are they going to be laid off? Are they going to continue to get their salary increment? Because it's a salary increment that they are entitled to. This is their yearly evaluation. So those are the things that, as we tasked the superintendent to start with the spending priorities, because we really wanted to see what the outcome of the bill that was passed by the legislature and what the governor's action will be. So now that she provided her revised budget, and it didn't go through yesterday, and then now the legislature, are they going to override that if they go to session today? But we at DOE, our priority there is our employees and our students and the services that are provided to our students. We do not close our doors to any student that come to register at the Department of Education. We don't take the cream of the crop. We take everybody.
Right.
We provide the education to them. We provide the meals. We provide, so many things. So with this budget, we really are going to experience a lot of shortfall. And yes, they took out the interscholastic, and it's a lump sum. It's there, but it's a lump sum. So superintendent would have to find money in the event that we go back to normal and that sports will continue. So I just ask that that the senators today reconsider and look at the Department of Education's budget, because for many years, excuse me, I've been on this board, DOE never get the full allotment on the budget that was passed. Yeah. And thanks to the federal funding that it is at least helping us out, but we cannot depend on that, because we have to, it's not we have to also match that. So we're in a situation right now, and so that's where we are, and
right.
I'll have my vice chair work on the
but guys,
just before you ask me and you guys ask me, okay? Our superintendent did his evaluation, outstanding. He did not ask for a pay raise, and just to let you know, he did not ask for a pay raise. The board on our contract says that in doing his next annual evaluation, the board will consider. So I just want to bring that out, because I know people are talking about pay raise to department heads, but Superintendent of Education John Fernandez, on this evaluation where we gave him, and I think he's the only superintendent, the only one in the department in government of Guam that had outstanding, didn't get a pay raise. His salary remains as is until next year when we do in the annual evaluation. If the board feels he's entitled, then we will take it from there. So I just want to make that sure. Clear,
thank you, because Sabrina was going to ask. So
no, we had asked that before, but it was pointed out that he didn't get a raise. But I was going to make that point. We have a board that approved, an outstanding performance evaluation. So
let me just ask. So when you just said you're employing the legislature, don't forget GDOE, right? But who do you dialogue with when your oversight chair is not on the job right now?
No, part of you want to go at that. Part of the responsibility
is the budget and finance.
I'm the chair of the budget and finance, and part of our responsibility is to continue to remind the legislature, and that's why I made it a point earlier. Although Senator Chalina is on duty, we we have been consistently, we've never missed a call to the legislature when it came an opportunity for us to do our presentation, our budget presentation. And, even in the height of the COVID and dealing with the grab and go meals and all this stuff, the superintendent and the board has made the time to go down when the legislature wanted us to come down there and to advocate for our budget. And, that's the challenge. We have to convince the other 15 or 14 other senators that education should be a priority. And that's the challenge and the dilemma that we're faced with, is that obviously there are certain funds or certain areas that fund other levels of government. But, the challenge really is just getting people to see it. And it's all walks of education, because even after they leave the Department of Education, they go to GCC and UOG. And so we just got to make sure that pipeline for education is protected, safeguarded. These are going to be the folks that are going to help in the recovery of our economy. In a couple of months, they're going to be graduates that are going to be going into the workforce. They're going to be looking for that entry level jobs. Students graduating from GCC in the technical field and then advanced degrees at university. And so you're absolutely right. Who do we talk to? Well, I know for a fact that we've had communications with the chair of budget and finance, Joe San Agustin. We've communicated with him on a consistent basis. I believe the chair has a really good relationship with him. Myself, I reached out to Senator Amanda Shelton, and we've asked other board members too that have relationships with these senators to also reach out to them. So we're doing our part in terms of trying to just get there and trying to get them to take a look back at the Department of Education, because what's at stake, Chris, really is if we don't get that level of maintenance effort, in a budget call, then it really limits the other saving grace for us, which is our ace in the hole, which is access to federal funds. And we've made tremendous strides. We even got recognized by the U.S. Department of Ed. I shared with you folks the letter that we received from U.S. Ed. What that means basically is if we get off high risk status, that just shows that the department has made significant stride in managing federal assets, and they will give us access to more of those federal resources. So right now we manage about close to $60 million in federal grants coming in. And there was a word that the lieutenant governor used earlier, and it's called supplanting. We cannot supplant. We cannot use federal funds to what local resources should be paying for. And so that's why it's specific to these grants and to these areas. That's where there's special education, special programs, robotics, all these different programs within the Department of Education. There is someone in the background working to get those grants and to have access to that. We have, we stood up our internal audit office, and it's really interesting, Chris, because as the federal government starts to release us from that oversight, the local side is starting to say, hey, we want more oversight over you folks. And we're like, 6 years of clean audits, 6 years of clean audits, no question costs. And that goes to our internal audit team, Frank Cooperners, of course, our superintendent, making sure that we get these things done. And it was just amazing that, it's like our people don't even trust the department to do what it needs to do. And the federal government is recognizing and realizing that we've done a tremendous amount. So if we get off of that, of course, it'll be a cost savings I wouldn't say a savings. We're going to take that money and we're going to put it back in the classroom. Right. That's what we need to do. Yeah. And that's why we worked on this. Ms. Gutierrez and the previous board, the boards were never involved. This is the first time, Ms. Gutierrez, and she can attest to that the board actually got really involved in trying to push this thing through. And we're at a level right now where we're hoping that by January, that's up to the probationary period, that we'll get good news and that we will not have a third party oversight reviewing some of our activities at the department. So that's something that we definitely need. And for the listening public out there, I hope that you guys can assist us in advocating with the legislature in getting the local resource side of our house. Like Ms. Gutierrez said, they basically said, here's a check up to this amount, and you can do whatever you need to do within it, but we're not going to fund these certain things. And so we need to figure that out. So on top of the 5% cut that they made, they've also taken some key components that these special funds, we usually get funds from, like the Territorial Education Facilities Fund, or the Limited Gaming Fund, or the Healthy Futures Fund. We realize that, a lot of businesses are shuttering up. So the tax base is eroding, and it's going to be very tough. It's going to be a tough year for us. But with the Department of Education, it's hard to steer this ship when you're dealing with, 30-some thousand kids, and you have about close to 4,000 employees. It's hard to right-size that ship and shift in a moment's notice. And frankly speaking, I believe the superintendent and his management team has done a wonderful job in, trying to alleviate the anxiety. I'm a parent of, kids in the public school system, and just having all those computers going on at the same time, the technology, and then my wife's also a teacher. We know what it takes to what the education system is going through. So that's why we wanted to come on board, let the community know that, this is times where, the Department of Education is going to need also some advocacy from our folks out there in the community.
Right. Which I don't know why you need our advocacy, because it's an election year. And what is that they always say, Mrs. G? Education first. And now it's education first to get caught, right?
We had John Fernandez on last week, and he was talking about this $12 million cut to the Department of Education's budget, and he said, there's discussions that are underway, there are meetings that are happening regarding what are we going to do, right? And one of the things he said was, there's this talk of the possibility of just cutting out face-to-face for the entire school year. What are some of the other things that we could potentially see with this $12 million cut?
Well, what usually happens, Madam Chair, is the legislature gives us a level of appropriations, and then we come back to the board and we have a spending priority. And the spending priority we had in the past, and this with Ms. Gutierrez, has been safety and welfare of our schools. Of course, the curriculum and instruction, and then also, just dealing with the myriad of issues within the Department of Education. But, what it boils down to really is we won't know until that time comes. But there has been discussion. I mean, to take a $30 million cut since 2018, we've been cutting. We suspended early childhood. We were supposed to have the early childhood program, pilot programs, pre-K program, Ms. Jean. And, that was a program that we were standing. So we suspended that. There's as people's attrition, as people retire and people leave, we don't hire. We try to, and it becomes a big toll on our staff, because, I mean, the work is still required to get done, and so we're gonna have to go back to the drawing board, and we hope that we don't have to. That's what we're trying to prevent while they're in this discussion. And if we're able to get more resources from the local side, and we're able to get some of those resources from the federal side, it can kind of bridge the gap. And so that's the key component for me as a board member. Of course, we do not want to touch the classroom, but that discussion in the environment that we're living in, like I mentioned earlier, that 10-year-old kid that passed, and I do recall reading a report where I think between the ages of 1 all the way up to 19, there's a good number there. If I'm not mistaken, that report said about close to 200 folks that were identified as COVID positive or tested positive, And so obviously you look at that, and then you look at our employees that also getting tested, and it's reported out. It's a DOE employee gets tested. Right. And so, our protocols, no matter how great your protocols are for that, obviously this virus is just touching, different all walks of life. And so you try to mitigate that by doing certain things. So the debate out there is whether we open school or we don't, but at the end of the day, we have to act as one single unit. And of course, Ms. Gutierrez and I, the leadership of the board, will have that conversation with the superintendent, and we really leave the operational aspect to him, but we provide him support in terms of, in terms of the calendar. What is the school calendar going to look like in terms of, when school starts, when does it end, and all these things that come into it, the intricate details of our policies. So, and Ms. Gutierrez has been on the board, but I think this is the worst that we've seen it, where it's like the perfect storm. We're getting hit on the financial side, but we're also getting asked to do more in a new learning environment with technology.
So senators are
And
okay.
Sabina and Chris, I know that, people say, out there, the public said the DOE has so many employees and they spend so much money on personnel. I'd like to remind them that the majority of the personnel are the school personnel, teachers, support staff, administrators. The central office don't fill vacancies as soon as somebody retires. They multitask. So that is why our personnel is really on teachers, support staff, and we have a board union contract that we have to also work with. And I'll say in the years that the Guam Federation of Teachers have been in existence, this is the first time that the Department of Education, the Board of Education, have worked collaboratively with a good relationship with the Guam Federation of Teachers, because they understand what we're all going through, what the island is going through. So I just want to make people understand that the personnel are not at the central office; they're out at the schools. We have parents that in the past complained, well, not enough school aides, not enough teachers, not enough this and that. That is the reason. That's where the salaries are in personnel, is at the schools, and we value our teachers. They're really working extra hard now with this pandemic. And as we go out on the regional meetings, they're even asking, how can the Department of Education help them with their internet, their everything, because they are also, their other half may be a private business employee that have been laid off, or hours have been cut, and they're the only means of supporting the family during this pandemic. So I just want to make sure that the public understand that our teachers, our school staff are really working hard to provide with the education that our kids needed. And of course, it's hard to satisfy so many people, but we got to work together on this. And they have been very understanding. They buy their own, the teachers buy the supplies out of their own pocket, just because of the commitment and they understand that the department is short on funding to get everything that is needed. But this is where we help in, and the legislature, I hope that they understand that what we're going through and help us out in the department. We do not want to cut any programs that is for the students. Remember, we also have students with special needs, and those are the students that we cannot put aside, because it is very important that we provide it fairly. And this is what's happening in the States, is all students should be treated equal. All students should be treated equal. So I just want the public to please understand that when they talk about the majority of, DOE has a high personnel cost, it's because of the teachers, the staff at the school. That's where all this money is. Thank you.
Wow,
Thank you.
I find it hard. Well, no, I don't find it hard to believe, but it's just kind of sad that people are complaining about employees at the Department of Education when we have full-on GovGuam agencies that, what are you doing?
Right.
I don't want to name them because I think
Just
people
name 'em.
already know.
Yeah, they do.
But anyway.
I just think it's funny that we have to educate 30,000 plus students, and people expect you to do it with no employees. What are you thinking, guys? Come on.
So have you guys done the dear legislature letter
Did
or
you write
anything
dear
like
senator
that?
letter?
Yeah.
I think they have, you can see our budget manual that we submit down there, it's volumes. We even have to put it sometimes in, but I gotta say this, Chris and Bree, that our board has been the most our social media game is pretty tight. We have Zoom meetings constantly with parents, and we also have our work sessions online. We try to get out there to the community as much as possible. Prior to this COVID, we were going down to the Central, South, and northern schools whenever there was an issue of redistricting, or whether it was the budget when the first Trump tax cuts came through. Those are the things that we went out to our community and we engaged with them. And so I can pretty much say that, we kind of have a good pulse in terms of, where we are in the community. And like Ms. G said, we cannot please everybody, but at the same time too, we have to act as one unit. If we're going to make a decision, and we have to respect each other's decision, and we're looking out for the safety of all those involved. I think that's the key component here. Of course, we would love the resources, but at the same time, too, they give us all the resources in the world, and it's not safe to open our schools. Then we're not going to open our schools. That's not what we're going to do. And I'm pretty sure, and it's really the superintendent's duty and responsibility to inform the board of those types of environment. And he has been a partner in this. And Ms. G mentioned the GFT. We have these folks sitting at our board meetings. They sit at the same table that we sit at. And although they're non-voting members, we still do listen to their concerns. We even have the students, student leadership, the eyeballs, although we're in the beginning of it, and they're a part of it as well. We have the teachers. We also have a good cross-section on our board. You know, a retired administrator. We got 6 that were elected, and then there's a business person on the board as well. So, you know, the function of the board is really just to continue the advocacy work, but to also assist and manage the superintendent's duties based on policy. So, I mean, that's the big picture things that we're looking at, but we do need the resources, and this is the time to have these discussions before the decision's made. Because once the decision's made, I do know that there was discussion that potentially, you know, the revenue projections are greater than they're going to go ahead and do a supplemental budget, and hopefully the Department of Education is in that. I think that Senator San Augustine mentioned that in your show yesterday, that if there is additional revenue coming in, that you know, hopefully the DOE would be there. Not hopefully, they should be there, and I think that's the key component of it. You know, the Ms. G pointed out the 3 areas: healthcare, public safety, and education. And, you know, everything else that's around that, you know, should be taken a back seat. But, you know, we should find balance too, because at the end of the day, there's people's livelihoods that we're depending on to make those decisions for our people and our island. But education is not at this point in time is not an easy task to do. There's just a lot more expectations with a lot less resources. And so, you know, with that, you know, I just ask our community to stay engaged, stay informed. You know, I watched the legislative hearings. I listened to your show, and you know, we just try and get as much information so we can make those decisions. And I think when you get those doctors on your show, and you get experts, subject matter experts on your show, on your show, it really helps us, the community, stay informed, so we can make informed decisions and not be keyboard warriors, only keyboard warriors, right? But to really make meaningful, add to the discussion, so that we can come up with sound policy, sound judgment. Right. So with that, that's all pretty much I have, Ms. G.
Well, that's it.
You know, and one thing, Sabrina and Chris, I do communicate with Senator San Augustine, and as a former chair on the Guam Policy Board, he knows what how it is when we don't get the funding. And you know, he's only one senator, so I hope the other senators are chair and vice chair on the Committee on Education will stand up for the Department of Education, because we need to continue this education, providing the best education for our students. And with our superintendent and his leadership team, he brings up this, the concerns to us that he gets from the teachers, from the parents, from the students. And just to make it clear, we don't micromanage, okay? It's against the law. It's in our 17 GCA, the board don't micromanage. So I just want to make sure when people out there accuse us of micromanaging, we don't micromanage. We follow the law, and we're very transparent, okay? So I just hope that everyone will understand that what is going on with the Department of Education if we don't get those funding that is needed. And yes, somebody is saying, well, you don't have sports right now. But if we go back to regular, what are we going to tell our students? That I'm sorry, you cannot proceed because it's taken away. We want to be prepared. We may not have the full amount of what we had in the past for last year for interscholastic, but we just need to be prepared, because we're in here for the students, and that's the purpose of us supporting the Department of Education. Yes, it's not, people can say it's easy to be a board member. It is not. And I have one colleague, new colleague, that said, I didn't know that it is this headache to be a board member, and say, you know what we go through now. And we don't do it for for the stipend. We don't do it for the stipend.
You don't do it for the
We do it
$50?
for the from our heart.
And you guys
Some
got
of
some
us
competition coming. I saw the list of
right on
candidates.
A lot of us board members donate our stipend back to the schools if it's needed, or to the
Nice.
student group. So that I want to make it very clear that we're not in there for, many years ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, a board member said, can we have the same amount with CCU? I said, I'll be the first one at the legislature to testify against it, because we're
Ooh.
not in for the money.
Right. Let me
That
close.
should be for-
We'll
I
just
just
close.
wanna make that
I got you. Thank you, Chair. Let's
So
just
I
ask.
can, the vice chair can talk about the high risk.
No, he did. You're good. We just want to ask. So we did see that there were a bunch of candidates for the school board, and you guys have had your share of headbutting with Adelup. Is this what it looks like? Does it look like Adelup is trying to stuff the ballot with a bunch of their gauzus for the board, so that it would change the complexion and maybe give them the number of votes they need to micromanage the department from Adelup?
Honestly, I'm not thinking about that, because I think that if a board, anyone that's running for the board, come in there to support the school, the Department of Education, come in there with a commitment for the students, not for anything else. And that I respect everybody on the board that has declared their preference of political party. I don't have a party. I support people that will work with us for the students. I respect those that are running, and I made the best candidate win. If the public say, Maria Gutierrez, you're out, I'm satisfied, because I think I have done my best, and my colleagues that are in there have done. We did everything that we can to help the superintendent.
Thank you.
Well, sounds like you're thinking about it a little bit.
I'm not worried. Let people.
You're not worried about it then. Right on. Bring it on, in other words, right?
No, but for me, the optics really is, of course, you can look at it two ways. One is doing a terrible job and more people want to run and they want to contribute. They got a set of skills. And then the other one too is you're doing a good job and want to be part of this board, So, but for me, at the end of the day, I just hope that the people that put themselves forward, it's a lot of things to consider. And there's going to be some sleepless nights, especially when you have differences of views. But I can honestly say on this board, since I've been on board, we agree to disagree, but when we disagree and the vote comes out, we act as one unit. You've got to respect the processes that's in place. And so I think that's the difference that this board has had over the previous boards in previous years, is when we make a decision and we come out, it's based on a thoughtful process. Now in our board meetings, we actually, every action we take has a board resolution. And before, when I first came on board, it was just a simple motion. But in a resolution, it basically highlights and details the entire chronology of how we derived came to that decision. And it gives the superintendent and his team an opportunity to put that story in writing, so that the next people coming behind us will be able to see that and say, okay, maybe the times have changed. That's the reason why they made that decision. But now moving forward, we're going to change because of this, the COVID, for instance. And so I think that's one thing we've added on the board is structure and stability. And, those folks come behind us, hopefully that's a legacy that if I'm not elected to serve again, that the next group coming in will keep on with that, because I think we've been as transparent as possible and getting people engaged. And that's the thing that we wanted I want people to know, is that we've always tried to have our stakeholders engage with us before decisions are made. And I think that's one of the reasons why, if you look as of late, the department in terms of controversy has not been really, mired in personnel or personality conflicts, but rather in what are the real issues that's facing the Department of Education. Because we cannot be distracted at this point in time in terms of, personalities or trying to get rid of people and all these stuff. You got to hold them accountable, do your work, do your job, and you do it well, you do it right, then we reap the benefits at the end of the day. And so that's the, my take on that.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Mrs. G.
Thanks, Maria. Thanks, Mark.
Thank you, Vice.
Stay safe.
Always love these guys. Ay, day. Thank you, Mrs. G. Yeah, let me just text me when you're going to bring the takoyaki. Inside joke.
Okay. Wasn't sure what that
I'm
was.
working on some takoyaki first. No, her boy makes takoyaki.
What is that?
That's the balls with this.
With the little fishy things. That
It's
are,
a little fishy.
Okay.
He does one with octopus. He does one with Tanatla. It's good.
Oh, nice.
Good stuff. 9:26. Let's keep it moving in the KUAM News Zoom room where our quarantine chronicles continue. Sorry, you're not the first, and you're definitely not the last person in quarantine that we're going to interview. We're bringing on Marcus Lang, who's currently quarantined. Where are you quarantined at, Marcus?
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. All right.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, and I'm over here at the Westin, hanging out in the DoD quarantine for some reason.
Wow.
For some reason.
Right, and let's just go back to your situation. Take us to the beginning. You're coming into
All
Guam.
right, let's rewind back to last Tuesday, almost a week ago. When I left California, I was on the 7th, landing here in Guam on the 8th. Prior to my arrival, I knew that I was going to be quarantined. I wasn't blind to that fact. So I started before I flew out, I knew that. So I knew that my best hope for maybe mitigating less quarantine or not spending the entire time at the Gov Guam facility would be to get a negative COVID test prior to my arrival. And so I did that. And I actually took 4 tests in the week and a half leading up to my flight, all of which came back with negative results of negative for COVID. And that was the latest was the Friday before my flight, so 3.5 days before travel, meeting that 5-day window that the Department of Health was requiring. So anyway, so I got back. I got on my flight. I'm also an employee at the local maritime company down in the port. And the HR down there helped me kind of go through the route of getting qualified as an essential worker. My line of work, I'm a merchant mariner by trade. I'm a licensed chief engineer, and I help maintain the fleet of tugboats down there in the port. Anyway, so I
Just
thought
so people know, you're a resident. You're a resident of Guam.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yes,
let
ma'am.
me
Yeah,
give
no,
you.
I'm
He stays
I'm
in
a
Assen.
resident of
Yeah.
Guam. I have a house 10 miles away in Assen, so I'm looking in the direction of my house right now. I just
Wow.
can't go there. My wife and I have lived here for a year. She got stationed here a year ago, and we both moved over. So she's actually a medical officer at the Naval Hospital. So I mean, I understand I understand COVID to a certain degree.
Yeah.
And so anyway, when I landed, I went with the direction that I was gonna. I was told that I would be able to quarantine from work, on one of the vessels, and I thought, okay, at least I won't be in a hotel. At least I'll be making income, and I'll kind of go that route. Well, after arrival, it was determined that I didn't qualify. Again, I wasn't informed as to why.
Right.
I didn't qualify as an essential worker. And kind of in my reach out to you guys, I'd mentioned, as a merchant mariner, the Commandant of the Coast Guard has declared that all merchant mariners are essential workers. And I thought with that, there wasn't much argument as to whether or not I was essential. But I guess there is. I was denied both. Let me rewind just a little bit. Because of the company I work for, we have both DoD contracts on the Navy side of the port and the commercial side of the port. My HR applied for both the DoD mission essential worker and a essential worker towards the government of Guam. I fell into the group of the DoD because of that. And then at that point, I was ushered the DoD line at the airport. When you arrive here, you have 3 different options. There's kind of medical personnel are in one section when they arrive to talk to Department of Health. The general population is in another section. They talk to Gov Guam. And the third section is the DoD. And so I was informed that that's where I would be headed. When I got to the head of the line, my name was on their list. They said, okay, we're going to quarantine you at the Westin. Currently, you're classified as a non-essential personnel. However, we have your application in process for essential personnel. So that should be approved either tomorrow or Thursday, which was the next day, which would have been the 10th. So I just kind of went to the Westin, kind of said, okay, that's the place, that's the process. I'm okay with that. Like, I get it. And then on the 9th came and went, the 10th came and went. On the 11th, I reached out and I kind of said, hey, I thought I was going to be approved for essential worker under the restriction of movement clause, which would allow me travel to and from work. Right. And they said, this is Miss Vera Topansana that I was in communication with.
Vera Toposnia.
Toposnia, yeah,
Right.
sorry, mispronunciation. She informed me that my mission essential personnel through the DoD had been declined. And at that time I said, well, if I'm not DoD qualified, I'm not DoD mission essential, if I'm not Gov Guam essential worker, what am I doing at a DoD hotel? Can I just are you going to transfer me somewhere else? And she said, just hold tight. I'm in communication with the higher ups and we're working on getting you a home quarantine. I said, okay, thank you. And that was Thursday that I communicated with her. And I was kind of quiet and I thought, okay, well, at least they're working on it. They're busy. They've got a lot going on. I'm not the only person in a quarantine facility. So, I'm one of many. And so I was patient. And then Saturday came, which was the date, then Saturday I was supposed to be informed whether or not that her petition was going to work. I wasn't informed. Nobody communicated with me. Sunday came, nobody communicated with me. And what are we working on right now? Tuesday. So I haven't had any communication with her since last Thursday when I was told that, by the weekend you should be able to home quarantine. You have a home here on Guam. You have you can quarantine for home. You don't need to be in a government or in a facility. And but I haven't. I'm still here. I'm at the Westin. My main kind of thing, because it's not a Gov Guam quarantine facility, I'm currently paying for it. So I was informed by the Westin on Monday that my credit card was being billed for my accommodations, and
I like how you put that, my accommodations.
Yeah.
Did you at least get an Ocean View room, or?
Did I what?
I was saying.
Oh no, it's a beautiful Ocean View room. I can't complain. It's the most beautiful staycation that I never wanted to pay for.
Can we get a shot?
We shouldn't be laughing. Sorry
know,
about that.
Oh
my
no,
gosh.
laugh away. Here, let's turn away. I mean, it's a beautiful view. I mean, it's not bad.
Hey.
If you look that way, you can almost see my house.
Right on. Do you and the wife, do you turn on the light at the house and you're like, I see you, turn on the kitchen light?
I see you. Yeah, let's wave. Yeah, kind of. I mean, it's
Wow,
it's sad.
So you got the charges yesterday? When did you get them? When did you realize what I'm getting charged to stay here?
I got alert from my credit card company, via SMS on Wednesday that I had a hold from the Westin, and I logged in, checked my account, and I was they put a hold for $1,800, which is the amount, a little shy of the amount for a 2-week quarantine here. They're charging $177 a night to be here. And the unfortunate aspect is I'm not allowed to receive, it's my understanding at the Gov Guam facility, you can have food delivered.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Here I can't. I can't have anything delivered. I can't have visitors, which I understand.
Yeah.
I can't have anything delivered, packages, anything left for me. So my only food option is eating here at the Westin as well.
Nice. That's very economic.
I don't know. I mean, the food's not terrible. It's a little bit pricier than I'd like. This morning I had the 2 fresh eggs with bacon, and that was $14.
Those are what we call the Tumon prices, Marcus.
Those are yeah. No, I wish I could be spending my money at the restaurants here locally that I like. I mean, I wish I could be eating Jamaican Grill, Mosa's. I love the Marina Grill down in Assen. I mean, I wish I could be giving money to the local community. But here I am spending money down at Tumon for a breakfast I don't want to eat. But I really don't have a choice in that matter.
Yeah. So why are we here? Who's at fault, Marcus? I just think it's also interesting that clearly you fall under the essential worker category, and we've had some funny business on the Gov Guam side, granted.
And you're a returning Guam resident. I just
Yeah, and we just
Yeah,
had a
no,
case.
so-
We had a guy sue. He sued public health, and the judge ruled that civil rights are being violated.
Yeah, I'm actually in communication with that attorney currently right now. We shared an article in the Guam Post together, so we're in communication to kind of see what my case is and at least get some answers. That's what I'm after. Is I've really kind of barked up every tree that I have. If I contacted the Department of Health, the Joint Information Center. They pointed me in the direction saying that, hey, we'll reach out. And I kind of said, hey, who are you reaching out to? And she told me about the Miss Vera. And then I said, okay, that's a name that's in common. And then I called when I checked into the Westin, I was given a piece of paperwork that said that I was the non-essential personnel. And if you wanted to contest your quarantine, to contact this number in this facility. And that was the Naval Base Guam Emergency Operation Command. And so I contacted them, and they said, wow, you have a very interesting situation. We're not sure why you're here. Let me email the person that's in charge of this that we're coordinating with. I said, hey, by chance, who is that? And that again was Miss Vera. And then I went a third route through another line of work, or another line to try to see why I've been classified DOD non-essential, and that also ended in the we're waiting on a response from Miss Vera. So
Vera, are you out there? I think we're going to try and get hold of Miss Vera tomorrow, Marcus.
that would be wonderful. Yeah, I know the Post reached out to her, and I have the article. And she said that they're closely monitoring my situation.
When do you get out?
That was. I should get out by the 22nd. So I'm hoping to be home. My birthday, 33rd birthday is on the 24th. So I hope to be home for my birthday, but I can't get a response of why I'm supposed to be here. So I don't know. I might be taking up permanent residence here at the Westin.
Yeah, but you'll be charged arm and a leg.
Yeah, I know. I at some point they'll max out my credit card. Then maybe they'll send me home.
Maybe then and only then.
Do you know? Is that the policy though for anybody staying in the DoD quarantine that they have to pay for it themselves? Do you know? I'm just curious.
Well, normally if you're in the DoD facility, you'd fall under your command. Like a returning National Guardsman. Yeah. Or somebody that's here for maybe Operation Valiant Shield, their command would be paying for it. Their DoD command, wherever they fall under as far as budget, they would pay for it. Since I don't fall under any of those specifically, the really only person to bill is me.
Right.
Wow.
Hey, Marcus, Jason Salas here. Thanks for joining us again. We got some people on Twitter actually who are asking, and this is probably the least of your concerns at the moment, given that you're being charged on your credit card for your accommodations again. But I would assume that at some point it could be a greater concern of yours. Is people are asking, is there a laundry service that you're able to avail of? Because if you're returning and everything, I'm sure you didn't have 14 days worth of clothing.
Well, I kind of halfway expected it just a little bit. I expected 14 days of quarantine, and being prepared, the first thing you don't want to run out of is underwear. So I made sure I had 14 pairs of underwear. But there is a laundry service here that it's like a typical hotel laundry, right, where you fill out the form and you put it in their bag. I don't have the form in front of me, but if I remember correctly, it was $9 to launder a shirt, $11 for a pair of shorts. And I'm looking at that and I go, I don't even pay $9 for a t-shirt, let alone clean it. So yeah, there's laundry available, but it's also a charge. I mean, it's on typical, I've stayed in a lot of hotels in my life. I'm a merchant mariner. I've traveled around the world. I have never paid for my laundry to be done at a hotel just because there's not it's not affordable.
Right. It's a travel hack. I mean, you travel, you stay in a hotel. Like I always go to the laundry, down the road or whatever.
Right.
And they got
Yeah. If I was traveling it right now, it'd be cheaper to go buy another pack of underwear at Kmart than have them launder it. It doesn't make sense to, what do you pay for a pair of underwear? $2. I'm not going to pay $6 to wash them.
Right. Well, Marcus, we wanted to bring you on and get your side of it. And we're actually going to bring on one of our reporters is in quarantine on the Gov Guam side. They have it a little better on the Gov Guam side. You should come on over.
You want them side by side?
Oh, happily. Can you get me a ride?
Yeah. And so we're going to bring, and Marcus, thank you.
Thanks,
I don't know if you
Marcus.
want to hang out for this or if you want to go, if you got somewhere to be.
I've got nowhere to be.
Right.
I'm here.
Yes.
I'm in the only place I can be.
So we're going to bring on our very own Adriana Cotero, who's coming back from, she took leave to go visit her family in the States. And obviously you knew that you were going to get quarantined. So we just wanted to bring you on and play a little catch up. Where are you at, Adriana?
Hi guys, I am at Dusit Tani. It's on what was previously the Outrigger side. So that's where they placed me. I returned back from my trip home to Michigan on Saturday evening. So that was at around, I think my plane landed at 8:35. And then upon arrival, they give you that voluntary letter. I didn't receive a copy of my rights right then. I received them Sunday night here. So I know that, I was covering that court case yesterday and following along that. So I even had called the attorney and I asked her for the decision and order, and she had mentioned that she handed it over to me and then she saw where I was at. And she was like, oh, so you're at a quarantine facility. So I started talking to Attorney Azuzu just about me being here as well. But in the decision and order, they said everyone by Monday at 4:30 has to have that. So they ended up giving it to me Sunday. So everyone else that is in a Gov Guam facility should have that. But I was listening to Marcus here explain his story. And of course, mine is a lot different because I'm here at this, 5-star hotel and I'm not paying for a thing. And I actually almost feel like it's a little bit unnecessary for me to be here.
Don't hate Marcus.
Considering I've already had COVID. And, when I had COVID, I was allowed to do home quarantine at the time, but now I have to do quarantine here. So I had asked public health if there was a way I could do home quarantine. I don't know if they need me to do an antibody test or what have you, but they're looking into it and they'll let me know, they said. But I've kind of asked since I landed along the way what the protocol was. And they said that at first I had to be here. And then I don't think they've had a situation where someone has already, maybe they haven't, because no one's been able to give me an actual answer on it.
Yeah, and I think it's just unfortunate because I feel like had you guys arrived a few days earlier, maybe not in your case, but in Marcus's case, I mean, you guys are really, and I want to quote what Dr. Mcglonia says loosely, that we're following COVID's lead. So these changes in the quarantine policy were made because we're in the middle of a second surge, right? And they felt like, oh, with all these rising positives and, the deaths and the community spread, that they really, again, felt the need, like we just got to throw everyone in there for 14 days and that's that.
I think that went into effect, though, when we went into PCOR 1, which was almost, a month ago.
Okay.
But I just kind of, if Marcus is a returning Guam resident, then you would think that he would go to the...
especially with a negative test, right?
Well, he had 4.
Yeah. No, yeah. I mean, yeah, we're on the same page. So Marcus just messaged me. He never received his rights, but I think maybe is that because you're on the DOD side? I wonder. We can bring him on. You can, unmute yourself, Mark. Look at where I'm all like, Mark.
No, hey man, we're old buddies now. No, I guess I think I'm just like I'm the forgotten about stepchild over here.
So you didn't get your rights. You never received your rights. There's never a printout you got that said, "Hey, this is what we're doing to you."
No, I haven't received any of that clarity. That's that's my chief complaint is I've just been kept in the dark over here. And I said this to the Guam Post. It feels like they're going out of their way to keep me in the dark over here. And that's when I decided over the weekend that enough's enough. If I'm not getting any answers, I'm going to go out to at least the public so that they can see kind of the way that they're treating people. And my main goal is hopefully there's somebody that's thinking about traveling home to Guam right now, and I can kind of help sway them. Don't come to Guam right now. Stay home. If you have family back in California that you're staying with, or you're vacationing somewhere, it's probably best that you stay where you are, because you don't really, there's no visible guidelines for who gets essential workers approval. There's no visible guidelines who's going to qualify for the quarantine exemption or modifications. So if you're happy where you're at outside of Guam, it's probably safe for you there.
All right. Thank you, Marcus, for that. Adriana, go ahead and close it off here.
I was gonna say, just going off of what Marcus had said. So they had told me whenever I arrived, because I was mentioning, is there any way, since I already tested, I already have had COVID, if I could do a home quarantine, and I kind of thought that I'd be able to. And they said, well, you are actually considered an essential worker through work.
Right.
So you could get a letter, working for KUA, you could get a letter, and you could have it approved by St. Augustine as long as your employer writes it, but you also have to have a negative test. So then they asked me, how long ago I had COVID. I said it was about a month ago. So my test could still come up positive, though, is what they had said. So that's why I'm seeing if possibly I could do an antibody test. And they don't really have an answer. They're looking into that right now to see if that is possible. Because, 14 days is a long time to be here. But I'm going to be, teleworking at home, doing the exact same thing as I would be doing here. However, I just feel like I think this argument's been made as well. Yesterday, I remember Attorney Zuzi saying on the link that this money could be used, for the hospital. I don't need to stay at this hotel every single night and get 3 meals, and I can't even finish these meals. It could be used somewhere else within the government, even the schools. We just heard them talk about the budget. GDOE talking about that. So I understand that travelers have to all quarantine, but if some of us want to opt to quarantine at home, they have my address on record at this point since I was isolated before.
I'm just not sure how much clout a letter from KUAM would have with public health, because not really, in their favorites club right now.
Yeah.
They're probably like, you're getting an extra 14 days for this.
I know, right?
Thank you, Adriana.
But I do also have a nice view, so I can show that. I like that.
Oh, great.
Let me see. How do I go?
Yeah.
There.
Oh, nice day at the office. Oh, my
poor
gosh.
you, man. Feeling for you.
It could always be worse, right?
Could you imagine if we did our show from there? Oh, man.
Yeah, it sucks to be you.
Man.
Well, thanks for coming on, and we'll see you when we see you.
Put some sunset pics in the chat. Thank you, Adriana.
Thanks, Adriana.
Okay, I'll see you, Marcus.
Thanks,
nice talking to you. See you
Marcus.
guys.
We'll try and get Vera.
Right. This is apparently the lady to get a hold of now. Thank
She's
you,
with
guys.
the military buildup office,
She
right?
is, yeah. 9:48. We'll take a short break. We're going to close the show with news next on the link. It's The Breeze, 93.9. Good morning.
The 2020 session.
Your life moves quickly, so you need a card that keeps up with you. Tap and go with our contactless debit cards. Just open a checking account at First Hawaiian Bank.
GU Self-Storage, conveniently located near the Harmon McDonald's. We offer affordable rates, online payments, and auto bill pay for your convenience. Plus gate access daily from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. Call us today at 648-7867 for more information.
Hafa Day, my name is Zena Cruz Vecina, a registered nurse with the Department of Public Health and Social Services. COVID-19 continues to be a very real threat to Guam. Wearing an appropriate cloth face covering in public is a simple and important way you can protect yourself and others on our island. During a pandemic, no single action will stop the spread of the virus. Wash your hands often with soap and water, and stay 6 feet away from others. Prevention saves lives. For more information, please call 311 or check out our website at www.dphss.guam.gov.
These are some of the signs that someone is thinking about suicide. Talking about wanting to die, excessive guilt or shame, and feeling like a burden to others. Feeling empty, hopeless, trapped, or having no reason to live. Feeling extremely sad, anxious, agitated, or full of rage with unbearable emotional or physical pain. Other signs include changing behavior, such as making a plan or researching ways to die, withdrawing from friends or saying goodbye, giving away important items or making a will, taking dangerous risks such as driving extremely fast, displaying extreme mood swings, eating or sleeping more or less, and using drugs or alcohol more often. If you or someone you know is showing these warning signs, get help as soon as possible. Call Guam Behavioral Health and Wellness Center's crisis hotline at 647-8833 or 4.
Tuesday, September 15th, sorry. It's brought to you by First Hawaiian Bank, Cabo Enterprises, and IT&E. Let's close out the show with a look at news from the KUAM News team with the very latest. Sabrina Salas-Matanani.
Half a day, everyone. We begin with the latest out of the Joint Information Center. Out of the 531 samples ran through various island labs, 36 returned positive for COVID-19. We should know Public Health did not run any samples on Monday. Guam's current COVID case count is 1,927 confirmed cases. 627 are active, with more than 1,200 people in recovery. And there have been 26 deaths. Dr. Janet Mcglonia is no longer the medical director for the Department of Public Health. She retired from the agency, which went into effect Saturday. She tells KUAM she started her retirement process over a year ago and had planned to retire earlier this year. But then COVID-19 happened. Mcglonia also said she will continue to perform telehealth services for the Veterans Affairs CBOC facility. Public Health Director Art San Augustine confirms he's trying to keep Mcglonia on as a part-time consultant, but those plans and who Mcglonia's permanent replacement will be have not yet been finalized. In a statement, Governor Lulian Guerrero called Mcglonia a public health warrior whose career has been marked by courage, candor, and unceasing contribution to those she served. Senators rejected the governor's substitute budget bill last night by a vote of 6-8. The governor called the legislature into a special session after she vetoed the spending plan that senators had passed on August 31st. The revenue projection in the legislature's measure was $7 million less than the governor's proposed spending plan. She wanted an additional $5.8 million for Medicaid matching funds and another $1.2 million for revenue tax and the administration department. Senators argued that their projection was optimistic at best and Adelup could make up any shortfall through the governor's 15% transfer authority. Prior to the vote, Senator Therese Terlahi on the floor responded to a letter sent to her from the governor about her reasons for the veto and her substitute bill, which the governor stated was done for one purpose only, to save lives. The governor further wrote to Terlahi that as chairwoman of the Committee on Health, you don't need to be reminded of your ethical, fiduciary, and moral responsibility to ensure that critical health functions receive adequate funding amidst a global pandemic. To do otherwise needlessly jeopardizes the most vulnerable among us, and I know you would never do that. The governor also accused some politicians choosing to grandstand. Here is Senator Terlahi on session floor.
And I'm going to read this out loud because I'm going to admit this thing is silly to me, you know? $7 million. We're talking about, you're going to accuse me of not following, that I need to be reminded of my ethical, fiduciary, and moral responsibility for healthcare? I want to know if we have a moral, ethical, and fiduciary duty for healthcare. Where in the world is the $10 million? Why didn't that get to GMH before the crisis so they could have fixed their roof? Why didn't public health get the lion's share of the $117 million? Why only now, 1 week ago, did they get confirmed $3 million extra? You know, they're struggling. Why haven't you taken care of them with all of the federal money? They even have pledged to them federal money. Let's help them get it done. I'm not even invited to the Physicians Advisory Group meetings. In fact, I've asked, and they said, no, I'm not allowed to attend. It's private. This pandemic, this emergency has been going on for 6 months now. 6 months. You know? And I don't think this is the time to let everybody fall apart and start accusing each other of what? Not taking care of public health? Where were you guys when I was trying to convince my colleagues, why not give public health every dime of additional revenues that we actually do collect? You weren't even bothered to show up. When public health was here telling us, yes, of course we need money, and of course we know they need money. And that's why we tried to do everything we can. I tried to make an amendment to this bill, to the bill we passed, to say anything collected by December is going to go to public health. Well, there was no one here to help me to convince my colleagues to actually give collected revenues and not revenues that no one was comfortable at that time. Just one more minute, Mr. Chair. It's just, we funded, the governor's bill funds directors that were never funded before, funds deputy directors in agencies that are not as critical as public health. I just cannot understand why we're going to resort to what, calling names now? Is that what we're going to do to get this $7 million? I think we have given the governor some very reasonable options. Public health swears there are lapses, so let them get the lapses. It will be more than what you're trying to give them right now because this bill doesn't appropriate any more additional money to public health. We've also allowed you to transfer. You guys were allowed to, you guys found $11 million to pay war claims. You won't tell us from where, but you found it. I have all faith that you can find $5 million. You found money to pay deputy directors that weren't even budgeted. I'm just saying, Mr. Chair, so we've given her options. She can reduce expenditures. She can transfer up to $27 million to public health. We can honor the lapses, the law that says honor the lapses and let public health keep their lapses and spend those lapses on Medicaid and operations. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
The defeat of the governor's bill means that with only 2 weeks left in the fiscal year, the government is without a budget. A Ninth Circuit decision states if the legislature does not pass the bill by deadline, then the previous year budget remains. However, if they pass the budget bill and it was vetoed and they don't override and pass a new one, then the government shuts down. Committee Chair on Appropriations, Senator Joe San Augustine, is asking the Speaker to call for an emergency session for this afternoon at 2 o'clock to entertain an override of the governor's veto. This morning, Speaker Tina Munoz-Barnes sent out the memo that senators will be going into emergency session at 2 o'clock this afternoon. As for your senators who voted to pass the governor's substitute budget bill, they were Speaker Tina Munoz-Barnes, Senator Clint Ridgell, Senator Amanda Shelton, Senator Pito Tlahi, Senator Regine Biscoe-Lee, and lone Republican Senator Mary Torres. Again, the governor's substitute budget bill failed. Senators will be going into special session at 2 o'clock. Turning to Decision 2020 news, the Guam Election Commission is now taking appointments for in-office absentee voting for the general election. Voters can call 477-9791 to schedule an appointment to begin voting this Saturday, the 19th. The hours for voting Saturday are 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. for Manumcos and 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. for appointments. Starting next Monday, it is Manumco hour from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. and then 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. for appointments. GEC will also have roving in-office absentee voting satellite locations starting on the 26th, beginning at Maritzo Elementary. And that is your news.
Thank you very much, Sabrina. It's 10 o'clock. We're KUAM FM in Hagåtña, Guam. It's The Breeze, 93.9. Good job today, Bree.
Good job.
Good job, Joe, sir. Jason Solis, Ken Sanity, our guys in Master Control, Ken Engineer. And, of course, you guys, thank you so much for the support on the link every day. And remember, we got your 6 with our KUAM News primetime newscast. All right, coming up tomorrow on the show, we're getting Superintendent John Fernandez. We'll also talk with the Guam Election Commission Director Maria Pangilinan about voting that starts for the general
Saturday.
Right. So that and a whole lot more. I believe we're getting from Public Health, Annette from the contact tracing team, and also put in the ask for Dr. Pobutsky. We know there's a physicians advisory group meeting tonight. And so we'll try and get someone from the PAG on to unpack what happened in that meeting. We know they're supposed to discuss business reopenings.
Mm-hmm. And this new high risk versus low risk versus essential, non-essential debate.
Right. So we'll be debating that ourselves tomorrow morning on The Link. It's The Breeze 93.9 for Sabrina. My name is Chris. Hasta adios.
Bye.
This is another Zone production. Yeah. This is a mighty honest collaboration. Yo, Zone. Let's do